2, 1, let's go.
I thought we said we're not going to do this bit anymore.
Yeah. Hi, welcome to the Roundabout cast, live from Disney.
Live.
Yeah!
Is it really live if we pre-record it?
It's live for us.
Well, it's the most live because this is the first episode ever that we've been in the same room together. So I get to look at all these pretty faces while I talk.
We usually record separately because we don't actually like each other that much.
It's true. We decided to all pitch in and buy our own room. By all pitch in, I purchased the room basically.
Yeah, we all hate each other so much that we all spent large amounts of money to spend Joe's birthday together.
Yay!
Everybody say happy birthday, Joe.
Everyone say happy birthday, Joe. You're going to be listening to this episode.
If I get one comment from a random person that tells me happy birthday, I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably die. I'll probably suicide.
Everybody, let's fucking kill Joe.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Together we can do it.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
I'm your podcast host, Willer.
My name is Bradley, ancient primordial beast from beyond the stars that lives in the sewers and feeds on the fear of children.
Okay. I am the world's first and number one Disney World tourism expert, second-ranked birthday boy, Joe Lloyd.
That is actually true, though.
Which is kind of a segue into our first topic.
Yeah.
Joe's a goddamn expert at Disney World.
Yeah.
This is my first time, and this is Bradley's first time since he's been able to think.
Yeah.
Bradley came when he was 6, and I have personal opinions about bringing small children to Disney World.
We're gonna lay it all out right now. So Joe just wanted. So this is our first night. We actually flew in today. We didn't visit the park. We visited downtown Disney.
Disney Springs, as it's now called, but downtown Disney is what I always call it.
So we're all really fucking tired, which is fun because I think we get loopy and weird when we're tired. And
we also partied like 2 nights ago and took a 3-hour drive right afterwards back to my place. So we've been just constantly moving nonstop.
Me and Bradley saw Dementor, and that's not a joke.
Look, here's the thing. I'm actually not okay about it. Because I don't know what it could have been.
It's actually indescribable.
It was really weird. Okay, anyway, we're talking about Disney.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, this is our first night here. We're just chilling. We really started tomorrow.
Just chilling.
But Joe's going to lay some groundwork, some stuff he wants to get off his chest.
About Disney.
About Disney. Okay, so I think I'm going to just start with some basic, like, thought process planning when it comes to, like, whenever I do Disney vacation trips. Yeah. So the first off, whenever you're, like, trying to look at the Disney planning, whenever I do, I always look at, like, the room. I look at my dates and I look at the rooms that I want to do first. If I want to do boardwalk, or if I want to do it cheaper, or if I want to just kind of go, I look at what I'm available at, which is pretty obvious, but I feel like some people, what they'll do is, they'll just see the most expensive room or just see, like, the average room is and not really realize there are alternative things you can do. Like, the cheapest hotel rooms at Disney World are about, like, $90 a night. They fill up pretty fast, so you need to, like, book them further in advance for sure. But there are cheaper options. There's even a camping option where you can buy, like a camp, like, ground site where you can bring out a tent and everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yo, I could have gone for that.
Like, Fort Wilderness, that's the whole deal is you can bring, like, an RV out to camp out into it, or, like, you get, like, a campsite, you can actually do, like, real camping and, like,
there's shower grounds?
I believe so.
That's important.
Dude, people are gonna favorite this video, and it's gonna be like, oh shit, I might want to go to Disney someday. This is my resource. I'll know how to.
Yeah. But like, there's definitely a lot of investigation that you can go into it. Secondly, when you're choosing your date location, you want to do it. You want to do it a month before a holiday, or 2 weeks directly after a holiday.
This is deep shit we're getting into.
A month before, because a lot of people will book up, like, people will generally book before, like a certain holiday, just because they can count that as, like, a Christmas present or whatever, and kind of it's like, oh, we're doing this for this. That's why, like, for Halloween, for example, Halloween season starts at the end of summer, because people will book the stuff for Halloween immediately.
So we're in Halloween season.
Yes, we're in fall Halloween season in Disney. That will last all the way up until October 31st, and which will immediately transition in less than, like, 5 hours into winter, Thanksgiving,
I'll say
Christmas.
There was so much Halloween shit, even though we're still in September.
Yeah, so, like, that's been up there for, like, for this entire month, basically. Like Mickey's Not So actually it might even be longer. They probably pushed it back into August. But yeah, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is also going on. That's a special ticketed event. They bring out a lot of special characters you usually do not see. That's the big thing that people really like about it.
Like who are we talking about?
Like Disneyland, for example, has Kingdom Hearts, Donald, and Goofy right now. They're not here.
Oh, that's right.
They're in Disneyland, California.
And that's because of the Halloween event?
That's because of the Halloween event.
Man.
Yeah, so like that's the big reason why they like people go to these events. Like for example, I think of one of the Star Wars events they had like the Wampa suit, the big monster from episode 5 that hits Luke.
What's up?
So like they bring out a lot of those, and the reason why they do that is because a lot of those costumes require special individuals, so they're not always like available all the time, and they're so niche in fandom that only really people that are really looking for those guys are going to actually come out and see them.
Fair enough.
So that's that. But 2 weeks afterwards, everything's died down. Everyone's gone back to what they're doing. So it's usually a really pretty safe bet. January is the deadest time of all of Disney World. Like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after New Year's, there is nobody here.
Yo, I
like straight up, you walk in and go to any ride, and there's nobody here.
What's up, dude?
Everyone's back to school. There are no holidays coming up at all for actual holidays for another 2 or 3 months.
Man.
With the biggest kind of swelling being spring break in March or April or May.
So you get a solid 2 months there.
Yes. As someone
What about Valentine's Day? Is that
Valentine's Day is it's really not that big because it's just because I worked here Valentine's Day. And it really didn't. Not a lot changed. Because unless you're a really big Disney couple, you're not gonna go out here.
Fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Joe's dream couple.
God. But yeah, so that's the general premise of what you want to shoot for.
The premise.
During school year is also good. Right now we're in the middle of. We're at the middle of September.
And still weirdly a lot of kids here.
There's still a good portion of people here. A lot of goddamn kids. It's Disney World, you're going to see a lot of kids. But yeah, so speaking of kids, if you have children, the number one rule I always say is you do not bring your kid unless they are potty trained, period.
Oh no.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
do not bring, because it brings up a lot of problems, it's a lot of hassle, and your kid cannot go on any ride, basically. It's very limiting in what you can actually do.
That's the thing, I came when I was 6, and I'm sure that I loved it when I was 6, but I was young enough that I barely remember it. I just don't think I was old enough to appreciate where I was.
So to follow up on that, that's the general rule of really, I would say don't even bring your kids until they're 8 or 9 years old, because they're not going to remember the trip if they're any younger.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because there's just a lot more stuff you have to do with kids. The changing station is a lot more, there's a lot of people here, and everyone brings their kid. There's not a lot of changing stations, number one. Number two being is, it's just the hassle of, if you're an adult and you want to go on Space Mountain, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so you're limiting yourself on the amount of rides you can ride. And honestly, it's just kind of embarrassing when you have your kid and they're crying while they're being held by Mickey or whatever. So it's just a lot of, things I really think you shouldn't bring your kid. However, there's one benefit to bringing your small child that can't go on rides. There's a system in place called Child Swap, which is a system.
Is that like the show Wife Swap?
No. So if you have your second child or whatever, and y'all come to Disney, and the second child's not big enough to go on the rides or anything, but you want to go on the ride with your other child that is big enough to go on the rides, you can do a child swap. It basically means one parent and the child gets to go up to the front of the line, and basically immediately you go through the Fast Pass line, ride the ride, they come out, and then the child and the other parent go on the ride, and the other parent takes care of the kid while they all go on the ride.
It sounds like Collateral,
yeah, basically.
It's you kill my kid, I kill your kid.
Yeah, so basically,
young kids are dying here.
It's great because you can use it to be oh, I have this kid, we have this kid, can we do a child swap? And basically, your kid gets to ride the ride twice, which is awesome. And then you each will get a chance to ride the ride with your kid.
Can you go double? Dad gets to go double because mom doesn't want to go?
No, you have to actually swap.
Oh, man.
But that's the only plus to it. I just highly recommend if you're going to have children, you need to be able to walk on their own and be potty trained on their own and be able to just be a little bit more independent and taller, because 42 inches is the golden height of...
Golden.
42 inches is about like the average height for a lot of the rides, 48 being for the more thrilling and bigger rides.
Big boy rides.
So going from that, if it's your first time at Disney World, I highly suggest, if you want to hit every park, you go for about 4 to 3 days, and you do one park each day. And if you really want to cheap out, you do Epcot on the day you fly in, and you can kind of basically knock it out. I didn't do it for us this time, for 2 reasons. Number one, buying tickets today was cheaper, essentially, and it just was cheaper if we kept on going out, and I wanted to come on my birthday. So we flew in today and bought for today. It made the rest of the days cheaper for the week, essentially.
Sure.
Well, it did. For me, when I bought them, they were only $100 when I bought them, where they probably went up by the time I bought them.
We got the thing where we get to go to every park.
We go to every park once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're going for multiple, if you've been here before, my biggest suggestion is you go only for like 2 or 3 days, and you park hopper. So you can go in the weekend, which basically a park hopper is, it's $80 more for your trip per day, and it's just basically lets you go to any park and hop around the parks. So like you could go to Epcot, go there for a while, and then go to Magic Kingdom.
Same day. Sounds exhausting though.
It is, but like what you end up doing is using the fast pass system. You can really like, all right, we're gonna do all these rides. All right, now we're gonna get a fast pass for this ride in like an hour, and then you go over to the next ride and you do that as well.
That'd be good if you went for like 3 days.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, like you go for 3 days. And that's what I usually do is I'll go for like 3 days, and then 2 days are like basically half and halves for 2 different parks, and my last day is usually full day at Magic Kingdom, maybe a half and half day if I really feel like it. But yeah, that's generally like how I like to run things. And what's sad is like it's basically the same cost. It just saves you probably a little bit more on like airfare flights than anything. But yeah, so that's kind of like the planning portion. While you're at Disney World, y'all, I did these for y'all, but you do fast passes. Fast passes are basically just like at a registered time between this time and this time. You can ride the ride and you basically skip the majority of the line.
Oh, we got that?
Yes.
Man.
They're all free.
Well, so we're thinking Joe needs to start a business where you can hire him for your trip and he will optimize your fun.
Yeah. Like there was a there was a video by Gus Johnson about like when you go to your friend, and the very opening line is basically like, it's like, all right, we're doing this, and then this. I'm like, well, why don't we just do things in order? It's like, you don't understand. This isn't like a zoo. It's a mathematical equation you have to do.
Didn't that video come out like the same week we actually, like Willer and I actually got our tickets?
I think so.
Like, and then we regretted it immediately. Joe, do you fall into that mindset?
Oh, all the time.
Dude, I'm glad Joe's gonna be like that though, because I kind of need that.
Just walking around our gigantic fucking resort, I would get lost.
Yeah, and so for fast passes, you can only book 3 at a time, and after you do those 3, you can get more. So the way you want to stagger those out is basically they're within hour blocks of each other. So like so you have fast pass from like 1 to 2. You want your next fast pass from 2 to 3. And the thing is, you have an hour-long segment between all of those things. So what you can do is you do your first fast pass, and then during the middle of your second, and then you get in line for like another ride that's like 30 or 40 minutes. So by the time you finish that, you're in the middle of your second fast pass queue time. Hop on that ride, and then you wait in line for another ride, and then you hop in the next ride. And then while you're in line for that ride, you booked your next fast pass to go do your next ride. It's a lot of dominoes and juggling. This can all be done by your phone.
Joe, is your tan just from this like weekend?
Yes, I got sunburned.
We were at a beach this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Which is why my voice is dead. I don't know if I mentioned that.
There's a lot of just balancing acts you have to do, in terms of all that. Also, if you're going multiple times to Disney World, at least 3 times, if you go like twice and you decide you want to go a 3rd time, you need to just sign up for the Disney Vacation Club. You essentially buy into Disney, like a small investment almost, and they give you points, which are used to buy like rooms like these.
Oh, yeah, for real, because like...
Yeah.
Not even, like, just, like, the points are already, like, God tier.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, even then, like, when we were out shopping, like there's a bunch of stuff that is like only for Vacation Club.
You also get like 10 or 15% off merchandise purchases
Hell
if
yeah.
you're Disney Vacation Club.
So,
which, by the way, if you purchase anything, tell them you're Disney Vacation Club members, and they should give you a discount.
You know what?
Are they verifying it, or does my bracelet, which they have super bracelets now, that just do everything for you?
If they ask, tell them my mother's name, which I will tell you like afterwards.
On the podcast, Joe.
Yeah. But like, it gives you some percentage off. But like Disney Vacation Club, we've had it since I think I was 8 or 9.
Yeah, Joe's family goes here a lot, and Joe has gone
and by
here
Joe's family, it's Joe.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Joe's a big fucking nerd.
Big boy.
For theme parks, especially this
one. But that's kind of like all the vacations stuff I feel like I want to talk about now. I have a lot more that I can just discuss.
We can talk about...
We got to talk about Belle.
No.
That's... Hold up. Pocket that for a little bit.
Pocket that.
Come back to this.
Yes.
All right.
I want to talk about just our first day, which we went shopping. One thing that is obvious about a Disney trip...
Because people care about our day.
They're listening to this if they are.
Yeah, if someone's listening to this, you're already in the ride. You're in it to win it. So.
No, but this is important because this is an expensive fucking trip to be making often. Yeah. So Joe is definitely like he specs into going to Disney.
Well, like it was like because I really thought about it for a long time. When I was like thinking like, all right, if I want my friends to go, what's the best way to do this? And I'm a tourism major, by the way.
Right.
So, like, a big thing for me is that if you're going to Disney World, especially for the first time, which is Willer and Bradley, basically, because Bradley doesn't really remember much, is there's a lot to do at Disney World. And you can go the effective route, which is essentially, like, you'll go for 3 days, you do the rides you want to do, you get the park hopper, you go in, you get out, and that's it. Which is good when you know what you're doing and you just want to go and be with friends. But if you're with people that have never gone before and you really kind of want them to understand what's happening, you have to be in the park for the whole day, basically. So this is why I said, like, you're going to go for a week. We're just going to buy a ticket for each day that we're going and then go. Because you can honestly fill up the entire day with just going to the parks.
We're going to be here for 5 days, which is where we're like, we should probably also do a recording there.
Yeah.
And it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's $1,000. It's like almost $1,000 of tickets.
It was just $800 for the plane tickets
and for the plane tickets and park tickets.
Boy.
Food here is expensive, so you're gonna be dropping like $1,100 to $1,200, not counting rooms, which Joe thankfully got for us, which is actually the clutch moment where I was like, okay, I'll try to go.
I would recommend
finding Joe and befriending him.
I would recommend just not looking at your restaurant bill when you get it. Just put your card in there and send it off to the waitress.
Yeah.
I guess with rooms, I don't know.
So let's go back onto that real quickly. If you're coming in with a family the first time, you want to scourge, you want to save on food. Definitely drive to Disney World. Pick up food from Publix, because basically if you buy a good enough room, at most rooms, they will have some sort of kitchen in them to cook things and whatnot. So you just buy food and you make your food. And Disney will let you bring food into the parks. So you can pack a lunch and stuff and everything, and then you can minimize the amount of food that you're actually eating out on. It's just, like, my family realized after a long period of time with gas rising that it was more expensive for us driving there and everything rather than us flying in.
Well, you said you should drive.
You should drive, like now, but like when we were like kids, when gas spiked and we had an expedition that was $100.
When the troubles happened.
Yeah, when the expedition was $100 to fill up, and we filled up like 2.5 times, driving in, it's like, you know.
But Joe, what about the 3 young adults, recently graduates who want to go to Disney, but they don't have a Joe to pay for the room? With points, what should they do? Same thing?
Yeah, same thing. You can do that. I would definitely recommend
split the room, of course.
Split the room. There's a lot more Airbnbs around. So do that. The only difference is you have to drive the parks. There might be a parking pass option. I really don't know, but I do know for a fact that if you do pay for one set of parking during the day, you pay for all your parking for all parks. So that definitely helps. Like, definitely get a park hopper at that point, because you'll maximize your parking. You'll minimize the amount of parking spending you're doing. But like, yeah, and then if you want to stay on the park resorts, you go to like Pop Century, the Pop resorts, which are a lot cheaper and are around more of the $100 range, and you split that 3 ways.
Nice.
That's like a lot easier. And those are very minimal hotel rooms, but that's kind of how you want to do that, essentially.
And then just so we went shopping today. We got very expensive food.
We only ordered appetizers, and like we're like, that's fine.
And I don't know how this rest of the week is gonna go food wise. I'm worried. We went shopping at the Disney Springs. I got a one-piece shirt. Me and Bradley got like a matching set.
Fuck.
Oh no.
Oh. Y'all, I promise I was about to sneeze. I wasn't coming over Willer's one-piece shirt. Oh, fuck.
My one-piece shirt do become worthy though.
It's a good shirt.
Me and Bradley got a matching pin set. He's Goofy. I'm Donald. They're
That's
very good
great.
pins. Then I got a Nightmare Before Christmas, Pirates of the Caribbean, and motherfucking Kingdom Hearts 2 Mickey.
It kind of looks awesome.
It's so dumb and so good.
So
I'm super happy about that.
I'm also a huge pin collector. I think when I first went to Disney World, it was the first year they introduced pins to the park as like a thing they were doing.
Yeah.
So I've just been basically doing it the entire time since it existed.
What's your pin collection on/in? Where do you keep them? Where do you keep the pins?
Oh, I keep them. I have a felt book that has like all. I put them all in. That's actually starting to get filled up now, which is kind of.
I think I want to have them on my backpack, which for now
That's also
is
really
manageable.
Yeah,
I also like sometimes I'll get like random like I have a hat that has a bunch of all the pins I got from while I worked here at Disney World as a slide operator.
Cool.
So that's like a special collection that I have. But I'm
Hey man, Joe Toro puts pins on his hat.
Yeah,
so
I'm a big
you
pin-
know what? Dude, what if they have a Joe Rogan pin?
they won't.
That would have been so cool.
I'm a big pin boy. I've probably spent like $90 worth of pins today, and I'm definitely gonna be buying
Jesus
more.
Christ. To be fair,
Like 2/3
Joe's
of that
buying
was one
some
pin.
deluxe shit.
Yeah, like the big thing about pin trading is you're supposed to trade them, but I always hate giving away my pins because I was always very selective on what I purchase. And
Maybe that's better for grab bag, when you get grab bags.
yes, when you get grab bag stuff like that mystery box pins, that's the ones you usually trade. But yeah, that's yeah, I love pins. But now I just talk about this with y'all, like what you should expect for the next coming days, and what I'm excited to like talk to you about. Which we're going to Disney World. It's amazing. It's awesome. So we're going to 4 parks, the 4 main parks of Disney World. We're not going to any of the water parks. They're really neat. Not a big water park person. They're also like $120 extra. So I just rather.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know.
I personally don't think they're very much worth it. If you want to go, I say go ahead and go because I think
Even that video that we were watching, they're like, if you want to like kill your urge to go, like if you got nothing else to do and you got the itch to go to one, you can go to one.
Yeah.
I guess.
If they were much cheaper, I would say go to one.
Yeah.
But like they're pretty expensive for how much they cost, and I feel like you'd rather just save up and pay for another day in an actual park or go to Universal, whichever one you want. But so the order that I have a sequence right now is Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, Magic Kingdom.
What's up?
So the reason behind this is I was explaining this to Bradley. Is Epcot has the one with the least amount of rides. It's a lot of walking around, so we can start later, especially after all the traveling and everything we're doing.
Yeah, let's get some sleep.
And get some sleep, and that way we can wake up. And it's a lot more relaxed day, and this way we can just kind of knock it out, get it done. It's a great picture location.
That's the one with all the countries,
yes,
right?
it's a great picture location because you.
That one seems cool to me.
Yeah,
There we go.
It's a great picture location because there's all those different countries. There's a great picture of me on Instagram that I think you've seen where I was drunk and I'm laying across like a fountain, just giving finger guns. That's also a pastime is drinking around the world.
Hell yeah.
I don't recommend it. I've done it before. My bill at the end of the day for just the drinks was $250.
Damn.
But right now it's the Food and Wine Festival. They have a little bit cheaper drinks around there. They're less like $13 and more like $7 or $8.
All right, we'll try.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, I'm not saying every country. I'm just saying like if you want something. But I like Epcot as an adult. It's a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more easier. The major attractions we're going to be doing there are Test Track. It's probably Spaceship Earth.
I do kind of remember Test Track. That shit was kind of cool.
Yeah, Soarin', and if Wheeler really wants to do it, I don't want to do it, but we'll do Mission Space. Mission Space is pretty cool. Mission Space is the only Disney ride I've ever thrown up on.
Damn.
Oh, is it like more intense than most rides here?
Yes, there are two. So Mission Space is also infamous because
I can go alone if you want.
You could.
It's like
Mission Space is also infamous because about a year into its opening, a small child was snuck onto the ride and died because of it.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Pro tip.
Yeah. Pro tip. Those signs are not there to be mean. They're
there to save your child's life.
Yeah.
How much of the stuff tomorrow do we have fast passes set up for?
I only have 2 fast passes right now because Soarin' and Test Track share a fast pass slot.
Okay.
The more like A-grade attractions or E-ticket attractions, as they used to be called, you can only book one at a time, or else everyone would book the same ride.
Yeah, but within like 6 or 7 hours, we should easily be able to hit it.
Oh yeah. No. Like I'm not worried about it. There's also a Finding Nemo where you go on a little Finding Nemo ride and there's an aquarium afterwards. But that one's more of a relaxing kind of walk around, and we're gonna take pictures and we're gonna have a good time, and goofy poses and maybe a little bit, probably a little bit more shopping because they have a lot more of a wider range of pin selections you can see based on the countries. Like they have Donald Duck themed like Mexican pins.
Okay, hopefully they don't have any of those racist Donalds from the 40s.
Oh no. Epcot's really cool. Give a brief. So Epcot also stands for experimental. Oh God, I just forgot this name.
It's cool, man.
Yeah. Experimental community of tomorrow. Basically, Walt's idea was that people would live where they worked. Essentially.
Where does the P come from?
EP, experimental.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. He had to make a name.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because that's not what Epcot became more of a symbol of unification of the world. But the Disney College program became more akin of what Epcot is in Walt's mind than what Epcot actually is. Epcot also stands for every paycheck comes on Tuesdays. Or Thursdays, I'm sorry, not Tuesdays. But yeah, Epcot's going to be a very basic day. The next day, however, which is Hollywood Studios.
I'm excited.
Which contains 2 lands I have not been to yet, which is Toy Story Land, which opened last summer.
2 lands.
Yeah.
I have yet to conquer.
Toy Story Land, which I've yet to go to from last summer, and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which is the hot new attraction. This is the one I'm worried most about because of Galaxy's Edge, because there's going to be so many people trying to get into it. So far, what I've seen on just like ride times, it seems pretty okay. Like there's not a lot of people that I thought would be there, which is good. But like that day is probably the day we're gonna have to wake up early and go and make sure we are able to hit everything that we want to hit and have time to like do more stuff with that park later. So at Hollywood Studios, the 2 main rides at Hollywood Studios is Rock and Roller Coaster featuring Aerosmith.
Yo, the real Aerosmith. He's there all the time.
The band.
Damn, that's kind of cool.
Bradley jokes, but
that's kind of badass.
And the Twilight Zone presents Tower of Terror.
Cool.
That ride. So Tower of Terror is the best themed ride in all of Disney World.
What's up?
And the Disney World version of it is the superior version of it compared to Disneyland. There was a video I posted several months ago about it, but essentially it perfectly tells its story that it's trying to tell within its own ride.
Yeah.
It has wonderful atmosphere. It's ominous as you walk up to it. Just everything about it just is perfectly packaged together, and it's like a wonderful creation of Disney Imagineering.
It's legit.
And it's very unique. It's only like...
This is beautiful prose.
Yeah. It's only based off the Twilight Zone series. It's not based off something very specific of the Twilight Zone. It's just like, here's the Twilight...
Invoking the feelings of Twilight Zone.
Basically, yes. And they had the host come in and do like a little bit as like a TV thing for it. Like, he like introduces you to the ride, basically. But that ride's scary. Like, every time it's just terrifying. And it's fantastic.
We gonna see.
Rock and Roller Coaster is probably the most thrilling roller coaster at Disney World.
We gonna see.
Yeah, that one's fun. I don't want to spoil too much about it, really, but it's Aerosmith
No
theme.
Disney park spoilers, please.
Yeah, it's Disney World theme. It's Aerosmith theme. It has Aerosmith songs playing the entire time. Has a lot of rock and roller motifs in it. Really cool. It has this really creepy thing with your wristbands. So your wristbands, by the way, have RFIDs inside of them and tied to your name. So what will happen is you'll walk by posters sometimes, and they will automatically scan your ID and put your name up on the poster.
Yo, that's cool.
Yeah, and your like place of like where you're coming from and everything. That's really
so people know where I live and they can follow me home and kill me.
Yeah, it's
nice.
It's kind of creepy.
Nice.
Do it.
The other thing that's there is the Indiana Jones Spectacular Stunt Show.
Spectacular.
Which is basically like they show you like like a good amount of the stunts, like a large portion of the stunts they did in the original Indiana Jones movie. And just tell you like, oh, this is how this all worked and like how it all works. Are you okay, Bradley?
Yo, spectacular is a funny word to me.
Bradley gets to see the...
Every word's a funny word to you.
Yeah, I can't do it, yeah.
Bradley actually gets to see the faces I make whenever he says weird things now.
Spectacular is funny, and then...
Do you get to do the ball thing where you run from the ball?
Yeah, he's on the ball. It's not like it's a show.
Okay.
There's also group interaction where you can like, they'll ask for people in the audience and they'll bring you on. You'll be extras on the set.
Fun.
Yeah, so those are good times.
I want Indy to shoot me.
So, there is a ride that used to be at Hollywood Studios, Willard, that is literally your dream ride. It's called the Great Movie Ride. This ride was basically, you would get in this cart and you had this guy go through, like, a live person there, and he would be talking to you, and he would be going through all these classic movies. So you would be, like, basically on the set of these classic movies going through all of them. And then you have other cast members that are in the ride and they interact with you and talk to you, and they have their own stage show. So like there are parts where like you're in the John Wayne film and you're getting shot at with
fantastic
with stuff, and there's a gangster film, and then they have Alien there, and the alien pops out and like tries to attack you and everything. They got rid of it 2 years ago because they decided to change it to Mickey Mouse Great Train Escape or something like that.
Why the fuck are we here?
I don't know.
Just to suffer.
But I love the Great Movie Ride. It's one of my favorite rides they ever had at Hollywood Studios. It really kind of exemplified what Hollywood Studios was about, which was about movie making.
Twist the knife, why don't you?
Yeah. And it's really sad that it's gone. I thought I'd just give out a special shout out because I just want it back.
What's on day 3, Joe?
So day 3 is Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom has my 2 favorite like kind of thrill rides: Dinosaur and Expedition Everest. Dinosaur is my favorite dark ride probably ever. That was very basic. You go back in time and you drive around with dinosaurs.
Nice.
Expedition Everest is one of the best themed roller coasters also ever made. It's super fun. I don't want to spoil anything about that ride because there's definitely some twists and turns.
You have to eat each other.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh,
I've always wanted to do that.
Dibs on eating Joe.
Another cool thing about Animal Kingdom is that Kilimanjaro Safari, which is a 30-minute safari ride, in which you actually are in the jeep and you go around and you see a bunch of like African animals and everything. It's an actual like
in real life.
It's a zoo. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been on safari. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, it's tons of fun. That one usually has
Don't fuck with an ostrich. That's what I'm saying.
The other thing.
Omega goose.
Yeah. The other thing that's there is Pandora, the world of Avatar.
I'm very excited for that.
One of the best themed lands I've ever seen at Disney World. Which is funny that Animal Kingdom has one of the best themed lands because it also has one of the worst themed lands ever in the entire world, and it blows my mind every time.
He's been every park, folks.
Yeah, it's well, I take that back. The Marvel Land at Universal Studios in Florida is the worst I've ever been. The one Dino Land USA is the worst Disney themed area because it's like a carnival but with dinosaurs, and it makes no sense with the rest of the park. Like you will walk into it and you'll realize this doesn't make any sense.
Which part has the giant turkey legs?
They all have the giant turkey legs.
Okay, just wondering.
Yeah.
I guess I should probably get one.
Yeah. But that one is going to be
$40.
That one's going to be so like basically the idea is Epcot's really slow. Hollywood Studios is going to be pretty high octane comparatively, and Animal Kingdom's going to be in more of a middle ground of like just like, oh, here's like more stuff that's really fun, but we're going to be doing multiple rides on that trip rather than like a lot more stuff. A lot more. There's a lot less shows there. There's a lot more rides.
And the final day.
On my birthday, we're going to Magic Kingdom, which is the classic, quintessential Disney World location.
Is that where I can JoJo pose with Goofy and Donald?
Yo, dude, please. Please.
So there's character meet and greets on all the spots, but there are going to be more classic poses at the Magic Kingdom. Okay. I can't remember where they are. I'm not a big character picture person.
I just want like Mickey to do a with his like knees bent.
You can get a picture with Sorcerer Mickey at
Dude, we need to get like a wide angle lens and then get someone low to the ground so we can do like the Dio and Joe Rogan. That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at Magic Kingdom, the big ticket attractions are the 3 mountains, which is Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, and Space Mountain.
Yo.
Two of those are in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Correct. Which ones? Not Splash Mountain.
Space. Wait, Splash Mountain is in
Spooky Splash.
So Splash is in
That's Cali River Rapids, which is the Animal Kingdom.
Alright.
Okay.
Space Mountain.
Also has Bud Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin, which is probably my favorite ride in all the park.
Yo.
I've ridden that ride every single time I've come here, and I know how the max score on that ride.
This is Joe's revenge on me beating on him in every fighting.
Oh, it is. Trust me.
Alright.
Yeah, so the 3 mountains at Magic Kingdom are kind of the big e-ticket items. Those are the ones that we're going to hit, and we're going to do them all. Splash Mountain's a fun little kind of log ride. Nothing really crazy about that one. Big Thunder Mountain's a railroad. And then Space Mountain is a classic roller coaster. It's tons of fun. It doesn't have any loops or big drops, but the speed at which you go and how tightly your turn is so intense, and it's great. It's also horrifying with the lights on. Because you're based here's the track you just came off of that you just went looped around, basically. You did this motion. The track that you were just on is right above you about that high.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
that could be fun.
Don't put your hands up, kids.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I love Magic Kingdom. It's the park that if I had to choose to work and manage it, that's the park. There's just so much love and craft that goes into Magic Kingdom. I'll be sitting there just pointing out all the small little details and things. Which reminds me, we need to find a book, which is the Hidden Mickey's book. So you know how in Kingdom Hearts there was those
Hidden Mickeys?
Yes. That originated here at Disney World, where they put Hidden Mickeys in all the different locations. There's some here in Saratoga Springs. There's some in downtown Disney. There are tons of them in all the other parks as well.
That's cool.
And they range from being as big as a roller coaster to being literally a dot on the ground.
A whole roller coaster could be a Hidden Mickey?
Yeah, Expedition Everest, its track is laid out like a Hidden Mickey.
Ooh, that's a freebie for all you kiddos.
Yeah, there's also solar panels in the shape of a Hidden Mickey as well.
Ooh.
But you literally can only see that by a picture on the map. But that's kind of the game plan there. Friday we go home. But my biggest thing is Bradley, I think, is going to like the dark rides, which are more of the storytelling kind of.
I'm probably gonna like everything.
Yeah. You're definitely you will learn from what you've told me are gonna like the more thrilling rides. I think you're gonna like Dinosaur. I think you're gonna like all the roller coasters. I know you say you want more thrilling rides, and I get that, but the reason I really like Disney rides is they take so much care in hiding the tracks and really sell you on this story that they're doing with the ride and less on the thrill of it, which is something incredibly unique that no other theme park does. Because the theme park will basically say oh, we have a roller coaster, let's call it the Batman, but there's really a very loose.
Okay, yeah.
There's a very loose kind of connection.
Batman do be fun though.
Batman do be fun, but you go to Disney World and they're oh, we're gonna do Space Mountain, and the whole queue is basically oh, you're in an airport terminal about to go to another galaxy in this rocket ship, and then you go on the rocket ship flying around. And you go into hyperspace, and you come out of hyperspace, and you exit the terminal and everything. Or Expedition Everest, which is about climbing Mount Everest. And there's a monster on it.
You said no fucking spoiler. You know what? We're done. What are your closing thoughts?
I love Disney World. Go to Disney World. It's a lot of money though.
That is a succinct, accurate thought.
Yes.
Let's take that, you worm.
Are we recording now?
Got it right first try.
It's real?
Yeah, it's real.
Okay, we're actually doing it.
Joe is just hanging out, having his birthday celebration.
Yeah, boy.
Today, we are going to go over arcs 14.3 to probably 14, all the interludes of 14 as well.
All right, we're going to finish off arc 14, which is that's a good cutoff.
The climax of the... I was going to say Space Station 13 arc. Wow, I've been spending too much time with you, honestly.
Slaughterhouse 9.
Slaughterhouse 9 arc.
Dude, that'd be a cool name for a group, though.
The
Space Station 13.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
I'd be down.
I'm going to go through the summaries like before.
Yeah, I think we got some positive feedback on our new format.
Pretty much everyone that cared to comment said that they prefer it.
Yeah. So I think it's good. We're just going to summarize the chapters and pick out what we really like, which is good because I think it's really good to hit the best moments, because if we talked about everything I liked about all these chapters, I would never stop talking. So I think it's
Funny
good we're
you
going to
should
get into
say
highlights.
However, yeah, okay. We're going to jump into it.
We're just kind of pulling up notes.
14.3 is a confrontation with Amy Panacea. Just kind of talking to her, trying to get her to increase Taylor's powers.
Yeah, and that's where we get the relay bugs, right?
Yep.
Pretty cool.
You got 14.4, which is kind of the beginning of the fights, and that kind of extends all the way to 14.6.
Yeah.
Where there's the bombs that Pigo has in the city.
I think they were leftover bombs.
Yeah, they're going to be dropped on the city. The groups meet up together to try to take care of the 9 and escape the city before the bombs are dropped. And that extends with, notably, 14.5 is in the middle of that fight. Yeah. And it's all about the moral implications of healing Gloria, even though she's getting half melted by acid actively. You got 14.7, which is a lot of Legend versus Siberian as Taylor tries to track down the true body of the enemy stand user.
Yeah.
You got 14.8, which is where the miasma hits. 14.9, where Taylor's hanging out with Gru and Tattletale. Wink.
Wink, wink. Winks at camera.
Winks at Bradley. Ooh. 14.10, where it's kind of just more of that dichotomy of her trying to figure it out. And finally, 14.11, which is the confrontation with Taylor, Jack, Bonesaw, Panacea, and whatever's left of Gloria at this moment. Then you got the 2 interludes, which we got a Sierra/Charlotte interlude, and then we got a Legend interlude.
Ooh, boy. I love that, man.
All right. I have a plot twist.
Plot twist.
We're not going to talk about what I liked about Arc 14. We're going to talk what did you like about Arc 14, Bradley?
Oh, man. So...
Because I didn't really like this arc very much.
Okay.
Until the interludes. And I don't want to be fully negative the whole time, so I want you to lead my hips, if you will.
Yeah, because I know that you didn't particularly like the way we wrapped up Slaughterhouse 9 arc. I loved it, and I don't know if I'm going to necessarily go chronologically as far as the things I liked.
Touch the big points.
I'm gonna touch the moments I really, really liked. At probably my favorite character moment for Taylor at this point in the story comes with when she is with Jack and Bonesaw, and they try to get her to kill someone, which I think we're led to believe it's battery on the ground.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in retrospect.
During the miasma. And I really love this moment because the way I view this is that in this moment, Jack loses and Taylor defeats him. And the reason I think that is, I'm going to talk about why the Slaughterhouse 9 are here. And in world, they are here to recruit their 9th member. In the purpose of the story, they are here, in a sense, to change our characters, but more specifically, to find what limits or lines our characters have for themselves and try to get them to cross it.
Trying to break all the characters.
Trying to break them. And they are successful for some of these characters. I think most notably Panacea. Or how the audiobook guy says Panacea.
It depends on the reader. I'd say same with Hook Wolf, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't really know what happened to Armsmaster.
And this is even by Jack's own admission. He says that he loves doing this, and he actually admits to Skitter that I really thought I could break you. I thought I could get you to kill that girl.
He was like, I had a completely different read on you.
Yeah.
You're kind of fun.
And I really like this because at this point in the story, Taylor still has not killed someone. She has tried to kill members of the 9, but we are fastly approaching this moment where I think we've been working our way up to eventually she is going to be killing someone.
I thought it was 100% going to be one of the 9.
And I really like this because if there was ever a moment that there are circumstances in which Taylor would kill people, we know that. Like if they're the 9, for example. If there was ever a moment in which Taylor could or would kill an innocent person, this would have been it.
Yeah.
She was with 2 people who she was convinced were her best friends, and one of these people that she is convinced has Tattletale's power was telling her, this person is a member of the 9, and they are going to fuck us up. And Taylor cannot... Taylor will cross these moral boundaries that people wouldn't, but she will only do this if she has found a way to rationalize to herself that it is the right thing to do. And she got close, but she's like, this is what they're telling me. If she would have came to the decision to kill Battery on her own, she would have done it. But she didn't have that certainty she needed to kill this person. She's like, I'm not 100% sure they're a member of the 9, so I'm not going to do it.
To be fair, I'd say there was another factor of that because she was never fully convinced, I don't think.
Yeah, you can't be, she couldn't be fully
She was
convinced.
on edge the whole time, and this was a big hint, big red flag. So that might have played into the situation, just the overall unease of the situation.
Nevertheless, I think from a character perspective, this was Taylor winning Jack's game against her. And I think we hit on a little bit more on this kind of in the last chapter of the arc where when Taylor is actually reunited with Tattletale, they're pretty sure the 9 are like in this boat with Cherish, and Tattletale, and this is the real Tattletale this time, telling her like, I'm pretty sure the 9 are in that boat. And Taylor's like, they might be, but if there's a 1% chance the people in there are actually decoys Bonesaw created, then I would have killed civilians. And you know what? They open it up, and it wasn't the 9.
Well, damn.
I just, at this point in the story, this is probably my favorite development for Taylor's character. Or I think it's a big stride for her. I think if I had to pick one other big, some big moments I really liked in this arc, they come...
Skipping the interludes, because I do have a lot to say about those, actually.
I think my favorite chapter in this arc is when they are at Arcadia High, and Taylor's kind of listening in on Jack trying to corrupt Panacea.
Yeah.
And there's actually a lot of beats in this conversation I like. I think one of them I like is pretty early on in her eavesdropping when Jack he tries a bunch of different methods to convince Panacea to do these things, and one of the first ones is he kind of tries to go from, I don't know if I'd say, I don't think I'd call it a Darwinist perspective, but kind of a naturalist, in human history before civilized society, whenever just kind of ancient people survived on, at least what Jack is saying, they survived on brutality, their capacity for violence, their ability to fight, and he's saying because that is the proto-human, because that is before philosophy, he's saying that is innate. People inherently are violent. And he poses a question to Panacea, how many of your ancestors were successful because they cut down their opponents? And Taylor, she doesn't vocalize it. She thinks it in her head, but without missing a beat, she says, how many were successful because they cooperated? And I think that is, I think, a really good rebuttal to Jack, and no one can say 100% which of them is the most accurate to reality, I think. But I think it's a really good, I think it's just a really good juxtaposition of Jack and Taylor's mindsets. And I also like Taylor's response that how many are successful because they cooperated, because I don't think it's a coincidence that the person with the master power that can make hundreds of thousands of beings cooperate at once has this mindset. I don't think it's a coincidence that she is on the side of cooperation.
Yeah.
And we go further into Jack's conversation with Panacea. And she's kind of aware that he has a silver tongue, that she uses those words herself. And she, at this point, we know that Panacea knows, Jack knows, we know that her father was this villain named Marquis.
Marquis.
Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. Like 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. Put it on the clock.
It's fucking Marquis.
I always said Marquis. Audiobook pronunciation, which apparently approved by a while ago, is Marquis. I'm going to say Marquis. I'm giving the middle finger to the microphone.
Here's all I'm saying. The guy who made GIFs calls them GIFs, and he's wrong about it.
Yeah,
So that's all I'm saying.
Jack brings up Amy's father, Marquis, which we know is kind of a sore spot for her. And he says there's something really similar between the two of them that is also quite different. Both of them, throughout their lives, have put one extremely strict limitation on themselves.
Yeah.
For her father was that through all of his villainous antics, he will not allow women or children to come to harm. Her limitation is that she would not affect brains. But Jack says there's a big difference. He says some people thrive on giving themselves a code or a limitation, but he says people like Amy are destroyed by it. And I kind of agree with this. If I wanted to make a real life analogy, I think I would look at people who have strict exercise regimens, maybe, because it's easy to stick with a habit once you've made it, and once you've broken it, it becomes so much easier to never jump into it again. For example, I feel like if someone had a really good exercise routine, they stuck with that limitation for a really long time, if you want to call it a limitation. They stuck with that rule for a really long time, and they break it for the first time, it becomes that much easier to slip up because you're like, I've already messed it up, whether consciously or unconsciously. And I say this because this has happened to me before. And likewise, I think for Marquis' mindset, he has this moral code. He's not going to hurt women or children. And I think he thrives on that because no matter what he does, any other villainous act he does, if he does something he's disappointed in himself in, he can at least fall back on, I have this code, I have not broken it, I have not hurt a woman or a child, that is something I can be proud of. And Amy always had, I'm not going to break this limitation I have for affecting brains. And we saw that the first chapter she broke that limitation in her life.
It spiraled out of control immediately.
That exact same chapter, the worst thing that she wanted happened. So I think Jack is right that some people thrive on these limitations and some do not.
You're saying, we can kind of see into her head in those chapters where it eats away at her. And I guess the situation's also at play here. Maybe it's not just the limitation. Because there's also the situation about her stepdad, or adoptive father, rather, and how she could have saved him, but was afraid to, so there was always that pressure on her, but she would never pull the trigger. And I guess the stress of that, when she did pull the trigger, just turned out horrific. Quite horrific.
Yeah.
That is a very good way to look at the conversation. I did take it, there's one line that Jack says where he says, I'm used to dealing with dangerous people like you, and I don't think Amy even replies to that.
Yeah.
But I just think that's such a smooth line from him.
And the fact that she has no reply to it.
She agrees.
It's pretty damning.
And I would say, at this point, she has shown herself to be dangerous.
She's kind of hit rock bottom, and I think she knows it. And she kind of accepts it because I think we know what choice she makes in the future.
Yeah. To clarify, I am a little bit further than this. We won't be talking about it for time's sake. It just so happens that we haven't recorded in a while, so I stocked up a little bit. But I haven't finished Arc 15.
So those are probably my biggest favorite things in Arc 14. There's a few smaller things I'll talk about before we talk about the interludes.
Maybe we can loop back to them, because I'm going to voice why I didn't really like this. and it was kind of like, I feel like Wildbow is a god at setup.
There you go.
I just don't think when the payout finally comes that it just doesn't always work for me.
Because you more wanted to see like all the tests, didn't you?
No, because here's the thing. I found myself really liking the idea of an all-out attack on the 9 with the villains,
There you go.
and then a double bombing run to kill both of them.
There you go.
I thought that was really cool. And I will say, I thought the fights were really boring leading up to it. I think Crawler is just not an engaging person to fight, and there was a lot of Crawler fight. There was a little bit of Mannequin kind of just like sneaking in and out, doing some sneak attacks.
The most engaging.
But we've seen a lot of him already.
The most engaging thing to Crawler about me is how he died, where they're just like, "Hey, Crawler, this is gonna kill you," and he's like, "All right, let's do it."
Put it on, do it, and it did.
Shit happens, bitch.
Shit happens, bitch. It's just something we've been saying a lot about Worm in specific.
It's applicable to just about every chapter in this story.
I can't wait till we say it about bitch. That'll be the pinnacle. Where it lost me was when the miasma hit.
Yeah.
The build up to the miasma was so tense. Them getting trapped on those buildings with nowhere to escape. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about like an identity switcheroo kind of climax for this story. The bombing climax. Here's how I would have liked it. And this is a personal thing.
Maybe swap the miasma and the bombing.
Maybe. Or don't do the miasma and have the bombing, like have the finale chapters be after the bombing. Everyone's kind of rocked. The 9 are trying to regroup, the ones that are alive, and leave. And you get kind of a confrontation between a half-dead, like, Taylor and maybe another ally, and Jack and Bonesaw. And you can get some philosophical debates.
Yeah.
He's like, "You let us go," or something. Like, it doesn't have to be a full-out fight.
Yeah. Like, I personally am always going to fight for the miasma just because I love that Taylor moment, but I think like you said...
It's just so weird.
Jack himself does say... We leave not with a bang, but with a whimper.
And it's an anticlimax that's also like, it makes me question some things where it's like, when the miasma hit, no one died from it as far as I've read.
I think if any, like...
Everyone died from the bomb that died, which was Mannequin and Crawler. Rest in peace, Manny.
No one, I guess no one we see on screen dies from the miasma. I know Panacea...
Ballista dies from the spiders. Not Ballista. Battery. That's true as well. I feel like that would have been a chance for Siberian to just gank anyone.
Dude, the Omega ganker.
Because she's still alive.
The ganker sister.
They're still alive. Or for Jack to just, like, get your trust real quick and then just cut you up. It's just weird that, like, they just meet up with Taylor and they convince her to go find Panacea because they know she's the only one that can reverse the gas. So it's important that they find her. It was a weird selection. Also, when Cherish is like, haha, message received, wink. Why the fuck did you say that? What? Taylor understood you. Or, like, that's what helped her, like, finalize the realization. You didn't have to say anything. Jack had already listened to what you had to say. Coyle doesn't even know Latin.
Cherish, this is not the first in Cherish's shitty
Shit
decisions.
happens, bitch.
No, Cherish has made a lot of really bad decisions.
She's in the bottom of the ocean now, and that means she's gonna get found later.
Shit happens.
Chekhov's Cherish coming through.
I like the miasma as a climax, but I agree it might not be for everybody. It's not a violent climax. I view it more as like a character climax, but if I know, like, you're more invested into other characters than Taylor, so that might be part of it.
Yeah, that might be part of it. But here's the thing: there's also times where I'm like really happy for Taylor. Like, I still think my peak Taylor moment is her running to rescue her dad, and still also having
being
the time
able to save all these people.
So many more people than I feel like I could have saved.
And
her same power set.
I know we've talked about it, but her taking the time to save other people while saving her dad was so good because she consciously thinks back to that moment where Gru is like, in moments of crisis, we tend to prioritize the people closest to us. And when Taylor first heard that, she's like, that's bullshit. Like, you should try to save everybody. And then in this moment, she's consciously like, man, I kind of want to go save my dad more than anybody else.
But I mean, even knowing that, she still did something great.
Yeah, she did.
Overall, I'm bummed there was little Arm Master this arc. I'm a fan of Colin, but Bradley assures me that I will get what I want in the future.
I like this boy. Interludes.
One more thing.
Oh, okay.
I want to do my ranking of the 9.
Like favorite members, top to bottom. I know who's going to be number 1.
Number 1 is Chad Slash.
How could you not love this man?
Number 2 is actually Mannequin, and here's why.
He's cool.
There was a lot of Mannequin. He has the best fight out of any of the 9 with the one-on-one versus Taylor was pretty good. I really like the way he moves and how he's just silent. I like his motivation of attacking other Tinkers.
I feel like any scene with Mannequin...
It's
like,
tense and cool.
If it, like, any scene with Mannequin, I can picture it
really well,
being
actually.
in film, you know?
Yeah.
It feels cinematic to me.
And I don't usually like Tinkers that much, but like I just really like
that
Mannequin.
boy.
I put Shatterbird 3rd.
She's neat.
But I'm really disappointed. Here's why. I thought she was super interesting. I like her power, but nothing came of her yet.
I wonder what's
There's still a lot of room in the future for her.
I wonder what's going to happen to her.
I know a little bit of what happens to her. 4th is Siberian, especially when we learn more about him from the interludes.
I
felt like Siberian is like peak. Wow, my voice. Jesus Christ. Peak. Siberian, my voice is gone, by the way.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot.
We've been partying this weekend and talking. And I always yell in these situations. Siberian is like a epitome of like just tense, like just her being in the room. It terrifies me as a reader.
It puts something insane on the table because you know there's nothing you can do.
Then you got Bonesaw. She's a straight up loli. She's not a legal loli, which is shocking. That is a big plot twist.
Her immaturity is genuine, as Jack would say.
She has some funny moments. She has some annoying moments. The thing I like the least about her is that she's like a cockroach. Because of her, so many of them don't die in terrible situations because of her hacks, like tinkering skills. Cherish, pretty cool. Shit happens, bitch. Burn Scar barely did anything.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of her.
She got the most of that interlude, and even then, like, I still put her this low. And then Crawler lost me when Wildbow explained what Crawler looked like. And then
you don't like the big monster.
And then also said he was inside of a building, like just like a house or something. And I was like, how the fuck did he get in?
It's got to be high ceiling.
And he's got 10-foot wide chest and 100 eyes. I'm like, this sounds dumb.
You got to have high ceilings for that shit.
To be fair, I do like his kill me kink. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's into it.
All right, let's talk about the interludes.
Yes.
Surprisingly, I was immediately back in. I was like, you know what? This is why I love Worm.
You know what?
Because they got me back in there. The Charlotte interlude was surprising. It was more of a Sierra interlude. Was surprising because like these were characters that were just kind of there, and I wasn't sure what their role in the story was. But I just grew to like them a lot more, seeing things from their end, seeing how they're handling, helping.
How do people see Taylor?
That's the big plus of this. Like, you get a really cool look into how other people see Taylor.
Man, like, a big thing...
That bitch crazy.
A big thing with how people see Taylor is that these people in her territory... I think whenever Sierra first met Taylor, she was extremely apprehensive because... You know, Taylor was doing the whole thing where she's like, I'm a person, I like tea. Would you like some tea? But she also just, like, threatened someone with a knife shortly before. And what this makes me think of is, like, imagine you're watching Breaking Bad, right?
Right. I always do.
We've seen, like, Gus Fring can be a maniac.
Right.
And even if he was being as polite as possible, if he offered Walt a cup of tea, I would immediately be like, he is going to flip his shit in a second. And I think that's a similar thing.
That's not true. He invites people over to dinner and he's like, come to Mexico with me.
I'm just always on edge no matter how nice Gus is being, I'm always on edge. And I think it's similar where Taylor really was being genuine, like offering tea, but from Sierra's perspective, she's like, what the fuck is this person going to do to me?
But fuck those ABB guys, and Taylor handled them so well.
Asian bad boys.
It's trash, all trash. They should have rebranded by now.
They should have rebranded.
Just like on a narrative level, like Wild Bill's got to know that like I can't believe
the bad boys.
I can't believe I made this a name.
Bad boys.
But I really, 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 really want to talk about the Legend interlude. Because this shit was popping.
Like, number one,
Legend what a good guy.
Legend is a breath of fresh air. He's just such a genuinely good guy. Like with Kid Win, he does everything he can to make Kid Win feel like proud of himself.
I loved that interaction. If you guys will recall from the very first Worm Talks we did, it was Arc 9. And I was like, man, I used to think Kid Win was the biggest loser. Then I was like, man, I kind of like the kid. And now I really like the kid because he's also really helpful.
He's doing his best and he's helping Legend, and we love Legend.
And, like, the way that the interaction goes and, like, Kid Win is not receptive of Legend's compliments, but eventually, like, they kind of, like, bond a little and Kid Win eases up to him. And he's working on something for him, and we're wondering what, right?
And we're about to find out.
Cue over to him flying to the PRT headquarters. It was the headquarters.
Yeah.
To meet with the doctor, a lady in a suit, the number man.
The number man.
Eidolon, not Eidolon. It's Eidolon.
I also say
Middle
Eidolon.
finger to the mic.
Middle finger to the mic. I actually got my index finger on accident. Because I was holding
not Victoria, what's her name?
Alexandria, baby.
Which we find out a lot about her and Eidolon this time.
And man, I feel so bad for Legend after this conversation.
Another plus about Legend is that he's just casually like the strongest man, but he's just like a super open gay dad. Like he's just like, hey, wholesome. Can't wait to go hug my husband.
I know, he's so sweet.
He's a real sweetheart. He's very quickly climbed up to be one of my favorite characters.
Love this man.
Because he's a heroic character who is competent, but also not like, he doesn't have that arm master shittery, which I also like in its own way.
The shittery.
Okay. So there's a conversation that plays out with Cauldron, and it's fishy for the reader, right? Because we know Cauldron is sketchy.
They're kind of sketch.
But hey, Alexandria and Eidolon are on their side. Nothing. Right, yeah. I've trained myself to tell lies. Everything's cool. And Legend's like, all right, cool.
Wink,
wink. We don't test on human subjects and do weird shit. No. All right.
Winks at camera.
Winks at mic. And then he goes to his room or whatever, like his office. He puts it into whatever Kid Win was working earlier on, which was a lie detector, like a rudimentary version of Arm Master's lie detector technology. Which big ups for Kid Win for being able to manipulate the code like that. That's a sweet boy as well. We find out every single line was a lie, including some of Legend. Like, there's a line there that he says that's a lie, and it's a really interesting way. It was like, I guess I really didn't mean that. He
kind of self-reflects on himself, which the fact that he can self-reflect just makes me like him even more.
It's such a good narrative device to review information to the reader and Legend, but also have Legend self-reflect on himself.
Yeah.
So you can learn more about his character and how he thinks of himself. It was excellent. Every time Lie popped up, and it pops up on also Alexandra and Eidolon, so we know some shit's going down. I'm going to say one thing though. There are, like, we counted the other day, there are 6 things in Worm that just through osmosis I kind of know are about the story. And one of them was that Eidolon was, like, I saw his name popped up in a villainous context. So I think this kind of confirms that.
Yeah,
I don't know about Alexandria though. I feel like she would be more neutral.
Yeah, because it was like at some point in the past, like you had some like glances at the wiki or something.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't think it's gonna ruin the experience or anything.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I would have thought like these two were sketch. The thing is, like Alexandria, she seems so sweet. Eidolon just seems kind of more quiet.
Yeah.
And they're about to go into his power, or like they kind of talk about his power a little bit. He can kind of predict the future.
I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast. I've said it to you multiple times, but for anyone out there, Worm is my favorite story on the planet. Whenever I initially started, I accidentally read the very last chapter first because my friend told me, hey, go on this website, read the story, it's really good. I was like, okay. the first thing on the front page was the last chapter, but I didn't see that it was the last chapter, so I read it. I was like, oh, that was really interesting. I wonder how we got here. And then I reread it for my friend.
You read the whole last chapter?
I read the whole last
That's
chapter.
super interesting.
My friend was mortified. He's like, go here instead. And I was like, oh. So, that being said...
Still loved it.
Because of that, I'm a person who's not scared of spoilers. But I know what other people are, so...
That's it for Arc 14.
Yeah.
But on the car ride, I drove a lot with Bradley this weekend. It was miserable. We listened to a lot of We Got Worm and also a couple of chapters. And it finally hit me that with the Theo interlude, Jack is like, I'll give you 2 years before I come back.
And can coincidentally...
2 years is when the world ends if Jack is alive. And then I'm like, oh shit, Theo has something to do with this. Maybe... Also, it made me realize, shit, I didn't think about it, but Theo's going to have to force himself to go through a trigger event to get a power so he can maybe fight Jack, and that power might destroy the world. Be a big part of it.
It's all coming together.
Man, that's some good shit. And here I am again, in the loop of just Wild Bo giving me the nicest love-making session, and then when it's real time for action, he kind of like walks out of the room, he's like, finish it off yourself.
Do it yourself. Tell me you want this.
I want this.
Nothing happens till I hear you say it.
Yeah, that's what we got for Worm. I got to watch Joe die live today.
Like our video for Dinah. Do it for Dinah.
Do it for Dinah.
Please like to save Joe. Bradley!
Dreaming.
Welcome to Don't Give It Up, Bradley, the internet podcast where we inspect, interpret, and yes, even speculate on what One Piece is and where it is going. This week, we are talking about chapters 196 of One Piece
to 216.
To 216, and holy shit, this is the conclusion to Alabasta, which is like...
Hold on. You can't just steal verbatim the We Got Worm podcast opening.
It wasn't verbatim because I said One Piece.
Oh, well, alright. Let's move on then. We're finishing up Alabasta today.
Will, I need your thumb to unlock this.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Why would I
so yeah,
this way?
This week is the conclusion to the Alabasta arc, which is like the biggest arc we've experienced in One Piece up to this point, and like as far not even just chapter count, like stakes, as far as like all these threads coming together.
2 or 3 arcs building into it.
Yeah, guys, holy shit.
No, 2, 3. I don't know.
So there's a lot to talk about this week. I think kind of the first half of the set of chapters will probably move a little bit more quickly. Because it's kind of setting up for that final battle with Luffy and Croc, and then, holy shit, the battle with Luffy and Croc, a lot of really good stuff to talk about, some of my favorite moments in the story up to this point. We do start chapter 196, and I think this is immediately following Zoro fighting Mr. One, which we got to talk all about that, holy shit. I think at this point, Croc and Nico Robin are still at the kind of the palace square, like just being threatening.
Yeah.
They have the menacing kanji all over the place, like in JoJo's. And people do try to strike them down. We get to see the goddamn Jackal Man.
Mm-hmm. They all fail.
He's so cool. They all fail, but they look so cool doing it.
They even use sacrificial water, and it goes nowhere, and they die.
It is very sad. Oh, someone does die in One Piece.
Actually, these guys, I think they might be dead.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
It's not even certain.
Does Chaka does not die here?
No.
Okay, yeah. He's covered in blood on the ground here.
He gets fucked up.
Right. I remember seeing him. I think I remember seeing him later.
Yeah, he's definitely at the end of the chapters.
What the fuck? How do you do this? How do you do this on the iPad?
Swipe. You're reading leftwards, so you gotta swipe right.
No. Well, I was swiping this way, but then
you reach into the chapter.
Okay, then I hit read.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone's gonna think I'm 80.
You found out.
You're only 79.
You heard it here first.
89 years old.
What?
No, at least make my age 69. That's cool. or 420 or something.
Probably doesn't know.
He doesn't know. So yeah, this next chapter, and I am kind of skimming through this because the things that I just love to no end are at the end.
He did read this like 2 weeks ago.
I did kind of read the first set of chapters. Yeah, I wasn't trying to say it, but I did read it like 2 weeks ago.
I mean, we haven't recorded since. It's fine.
Croc does kind of have this clash of ideologies with Vivi while they're in the palace square. Kind of calling her, insolent, naive. And this is kind of that clash of ideologies that is One Piece.
Yeah.
That's kind of every villain that we introduce, is that they have an ideology that is incompatible with our main characters, and that is what is driving the story. And I kind of like it because I think like in any given story, in like 99% of cases, the fundamental driving force is that antagonists want something, protagonists want something. These two things are mutually exclusive, and that's what's going to create the conflict. And in One Piece, those two things they want usually just specifically coincide with a worldview, a way of doing things. It's not always that they want like the same thing and only one of them can have it. It's just, I think this, you think this, and they are like, how could you possibly think that way?
And also, like, they're acting on what they think. They are trying their hardest to get their way of thought into action. And because of that, they have to clash now because their way of thoughts are incompatible.
And in both his conversations with Vivi and Luffy, Crocodile transitions over the course of the conversation, where at the beginning, he is kind of his cocky self looking down on them like, you are naive, I'm correct. And as he converses with them and they don't budge, he kind of moves from that I am superior to he gets angry and confused, and he is just like, I don't understand where you guys are coming from, and I really like that. So they do learn about they learn about the whole plot with the bomb. They're gonna blow up the square, and we kind of get like a repeat of a moment that I really liked from the last podcast, where Vivi is trying to meet the rebel forces to stop them, and a Baroque Works member shoots her, and it all goes to shit. And we get a similar moment where Koza has learned Croc's plan. He knows it all. He goes to stop his rebel forces, and this is just like an even more devastating version of that, because he's trying to stop them. He gets shot by a Baroque Works member, and they are convinced, oh my god, the Royal God shot Koza. And
they don't want surrender. Or, like, they're not accepting
and this is that moment where I was like, how the hell are we gonna survive this?
These Baroque Works members, they need a raise, dude.
It is insane. So this is kind of like, we even get like, I think this is a 2-page spread where it's like, holy shit, like the final battle is starting.
At the end of that chapter,
yes.
Do you see this page?
Yes.
Do you see this man? Have you been introduced to this man?
I don't think I have.
All right, we're gonna tell you about the legend of Panda Man.
Oh yeah, he talks about it sometimes, like in the question corner. And
do you know the legend of Panda Man?
Yeah. No, I think
so. We also have a theory about Panda Man.
Okay. He is the one.
You do, I thought.
He is the One Piece.
He's actually a character that's consistently following Luffy.
Oh, that's like a goof off theory.
That's fun though.
Panda Man's just in the background of like every arc.
That was fun. Yeah, I've been seeing Oda talk about him in the question corner, and it's always fun.
Yes.
So, the final battle in the square is kind of starting because of Koza being shot. Croc is like, "You're fucked," to summarize. And he throws her off the wall, but she, holy shit, he throws her off the wall. Luffy's triumphant return. We're about to start fucking round 2, and of course at this point we knew Luffy was obviously fucking still alive, but
I didn't. You knew.
Right.
Also, he comes in riding on Pell, which is rad as shit.
It is rad as shit.
Crocodile!
He saves Vivi, and there's this panel I really like when Croc first sees that Luffy is back. He has an annoyed look on his face, but I even like the more subtle detail that, he's often smoking a cigar, and in this particular page, like
He just like
you
hucks
can
down most
yeah
of it.
you can tell he did like a really long pull, like he just did a really frustrated,
Really strong and long pull.
yeah, just really he's more. I feel like if anyone else showed up, he would pay them almost no mind because he's so assured of his strength. Luffy is strong enough not to scare him, but to be like, I really wish this guy was not here right now. And
I thought I killed you already.
and
This is getting annoying.
I just really like that panel. Like that's the amount of sentiment that Oda was able to convey to me by a cigar that is slightly more burnt than usual.
Yeah, in one panel.
And it still carries that kind of like characteristic of like seeing the action happen, of that draw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with
it,
the
it has
line
a
of
curve.
The curve and the way the flames are lined up and the way it just follows your eyes to the end of where it's going, and you realize of what's happening.
And then 1 or 2 pages later, we get some awesome Nami cleavage, which I got even more out of, but we're gonna save that for another day. And then we move in to Luffy and Croc round two, which holy shit.
Oh, that punch!
Man, Oda is like the best at drawing impacts.
No, not even close. He's so good.
It is. Some of these punches Luffy has on Croc are insane.
This is a great reveal, especially like with like the iPad, because you kind of just like flip and it's just
That
there.
is one of those things that are inherently strong about manga. The page turn surprise.
Exactly.
And this is a man who could not touch this enemy until, and I told Bradley about it because he didn't notice at first. At the very end of the battle, when Crocodile stabs through Luffy and water falls on his arm, Luffy's able to grab onto it. And it wasn't a mistake by Oda, it was how Luffy figured it out.
Man, so
it wasn't
good.
water, I thought it was blood. Or
No, it was water.
Oh,
He's,
it was water.
you
Oh,
can
that's
see
right,
him
yeah.
stabbing through
Oh, yeah,
the
he's
little barrel.
Yeah.
And this huge punch Luffy does is almost immediately followed up by Gum Gum Buzzsaw, which is some of the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Buzzsaw's fun.
Gum Gum Buzzsaw is awesome. And we're gonna see actually
That headbutt, though.
we're gonna see a ton of new Gum Gum moves
I thought it was
in
a
the rest
kick
of
in
this
the
arc.
No, it's a headbutt. Is
Um,
Buzzsaw a head? Is it a knee strike or a headbutt? I think it's a headbutt.
Because he's sprawling up here, so I don't know why you wouldn't just use your legs to do it instead. It's a lot more mass.
it's a headbutt.
I'm pretty sure in the anime it's also a headbutt.
Okay.
And then after Gum Gum Buzzsaw, we get Luffy reveals his trump card that he knows
He's a
Crocodile.
water man now.
Yeah, Crocodile has a weakness to water.
Little side note: do you remember Jump Ultimate Stars?
Yes.
You didn't know One Piece back then,
I did
but
not.
this is Luffy's 4 coma.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's like his 4 slot.
If anyone out there has a copy of Jump Ultimate Stars in English,
Please send it
send
to me.
it to the Roundabout Cast PO box.
Email us.
So this is also introduces something that's important. So when we were first introduced to, not Paramecia, what are they called?
Logia.
Logia types. We
Yeah.
kind of get this feeling that they're extremely powerful, extremely strong.
Oh, yeah.
But now we realize that
Some of them have weaknesses that are hard counter them.
like
There you go.
straight up like a really hard counter, and it kind of like brings them back down to the level of, oh, if you figure this out, you know how to beat this person essentially.
Now, not every element can be expanded to that level, so some of them you just have to get weirder.
Yeah. And there are some that like, well, we won't talk about it until it shows up later.
So we kind of move on to the next chapter, and the beginning is, I think the rest of the Straw Hats being made aware that this explosion is going to happen and trying to game plan it. And then we quickly come back to Luffy and Croc because, like, holy shit, they're so cool. And Luffy, it says, if you are one of the 7 warlords of the sea, then I am the 8th warlord of the sea. And, like, even me, I'm like, the balls on this guy.
This run!
The rubber band balls on Luffy. Like, holy shit.
Big nuts swinging out
Big
here.
nuts.
Here we
Gum,
go.
gum nut swing.
Oh, how did you know about that move?
And Luffy brings out Gum Pistol, the ultimate move. We kind of continue their fight, and I think... Oh, holy shit.
I love this panel of Luffy dodging Desert Spada
Yeah.
by getting, like, long and, like, just barely dodging it.
And then I just love him doing a Gum Pistol, and then he, like, uses his finger to, like, twang his arm, and he makes a Gum Shotgun. Like, we've talked about this before, and I can't believe I probably said this like over 100 chapters ago, that I was like, even before like chapter 100, I was like, man, I can't believe how much stuff Luffy can do with his rubber abilities, and like we're still. Every major fight, he pulls out some new move where I'm like, holy shit, that is so cool.
How do you feel about One Piece's tendency to not do training arcs? Like, everyone is just pulling out moves.
Yeah.
So, I think with One Piece, I'm fine with it. And One Piece does show training when it's important to the character. Key, like, we show it... We show Zoro training because...
That's his personality and his
kind of thing. There's been several arcs in a row where even if he does totally thrash some people, he is really worried that he's not strong enough. Mm-hmm. So we show him training because Oda focuses on the characters, and we need to see that training. With Luffy, I could totally see Luffy just not even needing to train. But if he does, I just assume it's off screen.
He's gaining experience with his fights and getting
I feel like part of it, too, is that when Luffy fights, he's very, like, just kind of, like, quick-witted and just kind of experimental and sees what happens.
He's very battle-savvy.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Like, fighting in One Piece is not about, am I stronger than you?
Yeah.
It's not a power-level clash. It's not even a technique martial art clash. It is a metaphorical dance of the themes of the story clashed against each other, right? So an anime like Naruto, it takes its fights more seriously, I would say, where it's like, I need to show that Naruto is stronger, and I need to make the fact that he learned this move believable as a result.
So you have to kind of...
And it kind of uses that as like, I need to build up the crutch for that, right? Or else it falls through.
I wonder if they can hear me eating these goldfish.
They can now.
They can now.
To counterpoint that too, but the whole thing about Naruto too is trying to get better and hard work and seeing
until your gifted powers in the last arc.
Yeah,
but that is all to say. Just One Piece takes such a fundamentally different approach to combat that I feel like Oda is doing so much more. He does not need to spend time on how Luffy learned Gum Gum Shotgun.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's funny you say that because we've mentioned this before, but like One Piece is like basically like directly inspired by Dragon Ball Z, or like very much just like pull a lot from. I guess I don't know a better way to describe it.
It's Oda's biggest inspiration.
Yeah,
you know?
But
maybe not every story beat, but like that is his manga growing up that inspired.
But it's definitely like he saw the part of Dragon Ball Z that I think a lot of people really liked was the adventure and the exploration part of it. Like, you think about the Frieza arc, and like how they're going to space, and they have to go to different areas.
And the twists and turns of like Vegeta gets there to get the balls, and the balls have been stolen, and he's just like, "Fuck, they took the balls."
Yeah, and I feel like Dragon Ball really falls off when they're like, "Oh, we have to focus on like how these characters get more powerful."
Yeah.
When really like it's a lot more fun when we're seeing like the moving through these plot points and having to deal with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And One Piece does that tremendously.
Yeah.
There's only one point in the story that I think I kind of go like that's a really weird kind of power up because it's never kind of hinted at or foreshadowed. It's the one with the smoke.
But also though, like it's so fucking
Water
cool.
Luffy though.
Let's talk about Water Luffy.
Man,
now hold on, I want to bring up.
Okay.
We got some comments to highlight.
And then I'll bring up one more thing.
Bring up your thing.
Okay, but so the other thing about this chapter is there's a person in this chapter that has been in the background and is doing something very odd.
Okay.
In this chapter, like something that this person shouldn't be doing, like as this person this stature, like it's this person. I'm showing Willer.
Okay.
So it's,
yeah.
Like, have you noticed that? Did you notice that at all when you were going through this?
No, don't notice what.
So like if you look in the background, Miss All Sunday.
She's laughing.
Yeah, she's laughing.
She's amused by Luffy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But also she's not doing anything to like. To
stop him
or help. But
which you could take that as like an actual character trait or just like a shonen battle. We don't want to get too messy with the fight. We don't want to interrupt. It could go either way.
But the thing is too is like, but that doesn't feel like something that this organization would do.
True.
Because we definitely had those moments where like they pulled them aside,
Backstab. They would shoot Koza in the back.
Yeah. Or they would hold Cobra more like hostile or something like that. But she's not doing it during this chapter, and the entire part of her up there, she only tries to interfere once.
Yeah.
Against the jackals, and then as soon as he's like, "No, I'll take care of it," she's like, "All right,
sure, whatever."
Yeah.
Man.
She backs up.
She may not be as invested as we think she is.
Yeah.
I don't think she likes crocodile that much.
and you've read the entirety of this arc,
right?
So
Yeah.
you know where that person
So I know where that goes.
But like, it was something that like, because I'd never read One Piece, so like, when I was going through it for this chapter, like I immediately there's that one panel where she starts laughing at Luffy, and I
never read One Piece.
Like when I was reading it, like I hadn't like seen any bits of Alabastus or this part.
Gotcha.
Like so, like at this point, I was pretty much going in blind.
Yeah.
So like I saw that panel and immediately went, "There's something up with this person."
Yeah.
And I just was like,
and her relationship with Crocodile and stuff like that.
Because like usually this is like the second in command. Like you need to take this person out before you move up.
She
the
should
ladder.
be stabbing Cobra and being like, "Hey, stop!"
Or like Vivi and them should be tough. Like she should be in some fight, but she's never been in an entire fight.
This girl knows the power of D, if you know what I mean.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Joe wishes. Okay. To not get too sidetracked, there were some really nice comments on some of our One Piece videos. Including Pedro Leite, which means milk in Portuguese.
Also, we have to call it off because Vine Sauce is live. I got the notification on your iPad.
He's just talking how he's glad he saw the podcast.
Yeah.
Tier Mask was patiently waiting for part 4. But Ermac Reptile...
Sounds like a fucking Mortal Kombat character.
It does.
That is 2 Mortal Kombat characters.
Is it really?
Yeah, Ermac and Reptile.
Okay, that's why it sounds that way.
But he's got a Solid Snake avatar, so go figure.
Ooh.
So he was trying. So he got a little confused when he talked about your issue with the hammer in the Usopp fight, right?
Oh yeah.
It wasn't you. It's not that you didn't understand what the 5-ton hammer did. That like it was that Mr. 4 was slow. That's the joke. Your issue was that the small hammer was able to knock out Mr. 4, but not Usopp.
And and like we did talk about it, and I'm okay with it now because like my reason was like Usopp took a 4-ton bat to the face and he was fine. And Mr. 4 took a 5-pound hammer to the head and he got knocked out. And the reason I'm fine with it now that we talked about is because, like you guys said, One Piece is a battle of wills, and Mr. 4 is not a willful person.
His will set's like a 3.
Yeah, he is not a willful person. Usopp is a willful person.
Let me expand it one more step, which is why I'm bringing it up now that we're getting to Water Luffy.
Yeah.
One Piece is also cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
It's silly.
Yeah.
It's always mixed humor in combat.
There's a joke in the last chapter that Luffy has a hole in him and the water starts coming out.
He literally engulfs himself in water, or he drinks all the water, becomes a fat balloon, and he's literally leaking. And this is the most intense part of the arc almost.
Yeah.
It's essentially like the start of the climax of the entire like saga.
That is to say, Oda does this really interesting thing of just being able to be whimsical and cartoony, but also have the stakes be so high and you don't ever lose track of them. So when Usopp gets smacked in the face with the 4-ton hammer, it's really just to hurt you, the reader.
Yeah.
Just to go like, fuck, poor Usopp. But like, he has this Toon Force going on, and still the stakes were he needed to still be brave enough to get up from that and fight Mr. 4 to the completion.
The point of the fight was less of like we've said before, of strength and like battle expertise, and more of like this is Usopp and Chopper's time to show they really do care and are committed to the cause.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole part of that fight.
So just bring it up now because when we're getting to Water Luffy, and the fight is still serious after this somehow.
In short, Oda is not, in fact, a hack.
For now.
He's
no,
Galaxy
like
Brain.
he does it because he
has fun with it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, there's some of that.
Yeah. Water Luffy exists. And it's so cool because, like you said, it's so goofy and serious at the same time. Like, Luffy just got his Super Saiyan power up. And, like, he looks so intense on his face. And he's like, I'm Water Luffy now.
It's cool too because the power up is ingenuity of his fruit.
Yeah.
We don't know how he's doing it, like logically, scientifically, but it's just like, sure, rubber can expand like a balloon.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And he uses his newfound abilities to kind of temporarily put the smackdown on Croc, who was not expecting this. So the next chapter, titled Nico Robin, follows Nico Robin very closely.
Yes.
Which, dude, I just love her ability. Like, she makes her arms come out of the
so
wall.
Cool.
She makes her arms come out of the wall to, like, pull the King Cobra spikes out. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I really do. I love her ability. It's extremely flexible. It's an extremely unique ability too.
She's just
it's not something you see.
She's so strong.
And it has this really weird. It can also
body, like, I don't know,
like Lovecraftian kind of thing.
It's creepy.
She can spawn any body part.
She made arms come out of Tashigi's arms to grab her sword and make her like impale herself.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
It should also. I don't know. So there is one weakness to the power, but I don't know if it's worth talking about.
Oh, if there's a weakness, I will find it because I'm reading One Piece.
Yeah,
cool.
It's true. It might be something you have to discover through osmosis of One Piece, but I don't remember.
No, they God, I think they go over it.
I think so. Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So Nico Robin, at the behest of Croc, is taking King Cobra to find the whatever the shit that will tell them where the Pluton is.
The road? No, not the poneglyph.
Yes.
Is what it's
and this chapter is kind of a cutaway from the Luffy and Croc fight. We get to look at the Navy. We get to look at Nico Robin, and we kind of learn a little bit about her. How when she was a kid, she was already like one of the most wanted and dangerous people in the world.
Yes.
Which how could you
Did
not
they give
be?
the specific age?
No, they don't.
You can even see her bounty. It was 79 million
like,
as a child.
That's more
shit.
than Luffy.
It's almost as much as
Crocodile.
Crocodile's before it was frozen when he became a Seven Warlord.
Like little Nico Robin in her wanted poster just like has these like soulless eyes. Like she's a cold-blooded killer, dude.
I wonder if we'll
to
find
my
out
knowledge.
what that's all about.
I don't know what's gonna happen to her.
I wonder.
Remember this hand. It's gonna come back later.
Oh, here's that thing I mentioned where she makes arms
yeah.
come out of Tashigi's arms, and like that is fucking terrifying. And then we cut back to Croc.
But
and
she
Luffy.
She doesn't actually stab her.
Right.
She just because right now what she could have been done.
Oh yeah.
Like that would have been an easy like just rid of done, but she doesn't do it.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? We, find out next time on One Piece.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Luffy and Croc. Croc is able to grab and dehydrate Luffy.
We didn't talk about that, right? That cool side effect of his fruit that lets him turn things into a desert.
Luffy's dangling and he says, "Oh, my rubber nin." And we move on to the next chapter. Sorry, I'm also munching on goldfish while we're doing this, so if I pause...
The Royal Mausoleum.
I'm munching.
Ew.
Mummy Luffy, big step down from Water Luffy, I gotta say. Not as powerful. It looks like some Junji Ito shit.
Fucking, like those things that come out of the wall.
Yeah,
those holes in the wall.
That's fucking horrifying.
Fucking Uzumaki.
Yeah.
But Luffy, Galaxy Brain, shot water up in the air so it would land on him and rehydrate him.
And it works.
And we cut back to...
So wait, what happened? What did you do?
He shoots water into the air. Crocodile dodges it because he thinks it's an attack.
Yeah.
When he's dropped, the water lands down on him.
Yeah, okay.
And then we go back to Robin looking for the poneglyph.
Yes.
And, like... I think the rest of the Straw Hats at this point are trying to figure out what the fuck they're going to do about this impending doom explosion.
We're looking at the panel of Sanji just like sideways, like screeching.
Like you can almost hear that panel.
Yeah.
And so obviously Croc thought Luffy was defeated, so he went to go join Robin. Luffy is back alive, and he gets to a scene with Tashigi, which I'm actually going to talk more about this scene later in the arc when we're talking more about Tashigi.
Yeah. Yes.
But to be clear, Tashigi, who clearly has been hunting the Straw Hats because that's her job, cooperates and tells Luffy where Croc went.
You also mentioned earlier in the arc, she swung to kill when she was fighting the Straw Hats earlier. So, like, she's willing to do her job. But this is a extenuating circumstance.
Yes.
How did she know that she knew where it was going?
She was talking to Robin earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, Robin just said it, or King said it, or something.
Man, I don't know, read One Piece.
So yeah, like this moment with
through these
Tashigi.
things, I can't read every bubble, but go ahead.
We're going to talk about this a lot more later in the arc. I will say we kind of get a short flashback into Shigi's head where she was confronted by Croc and that he belittles her and says that she does not belong here doing what she does, that losers should not boast about enforcing justice, that she should stay home. And at first this just sounds like a just kind of a cocky boast from him, but I think later in the arc
It comes full circle.
yeah, we later in the arc we get to learn what these words really did to Shigi psychologically, and I think it made me like her character a whole lot more. But we will get to that
In a bit.
we will get to that in a bit. She tells Luffy where to go, and Luffy, who has fought Croc twice in like less than a day, just collapses.
I really like this. You need to humanize Luffy every once in a while because he's like a supernatural force of nature with so much energy, so much stamina. But he has fought Crocodile twice, a warlord of the sea.
And like, man, I feel this because Oda could have just had one panel of Luffy falling down, but this is 2 pages of him fighting against his own body.
And he's like running into like the wall and everything, and he's just it's really painful. You get close-ups with like the blood coming out, and like you can really see the sweat and like the layers of the that he does for the lines of his bruising really sells that feeling.
This is also really good to get the blood on his hand for later.
Hell yeah, boy!
Oda's always doing 2 things, baby.
And
look
then
at the size of that lad.
So good.
We see that Robin and King Cobra are at the poneglyph, and she's reading it. Spoiler alert, she's not going to find what she's looking for. We move on to the chapter called Crocodile-ish. And now I assume that she actually did find what she's looking for, because they went, ooh.
No.
But we move on to the chapter Crocodile-ish.
That didn't sound very reassuring, but no. I promise.
So Croc catches up, and he's like, okay, so skip all the history lesson bullshit. Tell me where the Pluton is. And she's like, it is not here. The history of their kingdom is in fact that. The history of the kingdom. And Croc's like, well, time to die, bitch.
Yeah.
Because he was only ever keeping her around for this exact purpose.
Right. So this is setting, like, it's clear Nico Robin is able to read these, and this is a rare trait to where he had to find her. He couldn't coerce someone else. He couldn't find someone else in his
And,
with his big organization. It had to be Robin.
I have to wonder. It's clear that Nico Robin is not entirely on Croc's side here, and I have to wonder, what if she herself may have wanted to get here and learn where the Pluton is for herself, and she could have been lying to him about what was actually written there, because she's the only one who can actually read.
I really want Bradley to read one more chapter. That's like all I want in my life.
It's
right
too
now.
bad.
I know.
Well, you guys say that shit every fucking week. I'm gonna read
It just so happens that the first chapter of every volume is a banger.
I remember there was one particular week where I was like, I stopped on this chapter, and you guys were like, oh, so this is like the ultimate cuckoldry, and the next chapter was like...
I thought the next chapter was when he fought Crocodile
the next
time.
chapter was like the least eventful shit in the entire story.
We just looked at the actual next chapter. But okay.
Yeah.
I love this panel of him stabbing through Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to stab Robin.
Same.
So we move on through the fight, and basically King Cobra and Croc kind of get to have their little, I'm going to take over your kingdom, no you're not, fuck you. It's just kind of a lot of fuck yous going around. And we're kind of...
Fuck you.
We're kind of do our continual alternation between looking at what the Straw Hats are doing about the explosion and what's going on underneath in the chambers.
This panel of Crocodile laughing here as the tomb is falling down. When I think of Crocodile, I often think of this panel.
This motherfucker's insane.
This motherfucker is so full of himself. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care at all about what he's doing. He doesn't care that lives will have to be
And
taken.
he knows he's gonna survive whatever happens here
Yeah.
because he can turn to sand.
Yeah.
And he's already underneath the ground.
And Luffy's awake, and he's coming for that ass.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna make him some crocodile boots.
Well, I really like this team effort to get Vivi up the tower.
Yeah.
Um,
So we've been glossing over that because it's kind of like the B plot of this entire arc, but it's basically the crew is trying to find the bomb in the location, and I think it was either last chapter or chapter before they discover that it's in the clock tower because it's the most central position.
Yeah. I'm not really giving the play-by-play because
no need, but this is where we should probably mention it because it's about to reach its climax.
Yeah,
it is
and
relevant.
like, I feel like this part was like definitely. It was needed, but it wasn't exactly something that I was really attracted to in terms of.
I really like this part personally because I like watching the Straw Hats work together without Luffy showing they're competent.
Mm-hmm.
I like when Usopp scratches the chalkboard. I like when Usopp gets hit in the nuts and launched into the air.
So we do kind of follow them from when we cut back to Luffy and Croc, we get one of, if not my favorite dialogues in One Piece up to this point.
Let's fucking go.
Crocodile registers that Luffy is back. How many times must I kill you? And Luffy, the first thing he says, kind of back to Crocodile in this conversation is, you have not given back that thing you stole.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, what did I steal from you? Life, money, honor, what did it? Luffy says, the kingdom. Give back the kingdom you stole. And Croc doesn't understand what Luffy's saying. He says, I haven't taken the kingdom yet. I'm about to take it now. I'm about to become the ruler. And Luffy says no. From the moment we set foot on this land, Vivi's kingdom was gone. And he says, because if this was still Vivi's kingdom, the people would be happy and she would be able to laugh. She would be laughing more. Mm-hmm. And I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, I love everything about this.
It's really good dialogue.
And Luffy punctuates this with kicking the shit out of Crocodile's face.
With no water.
With no water. How did he do it?
The sweat.
Yeah.
He sweat.
And then, like, 1 or 2 pages after that initial kick, he does...
Oh, that's a good hit.
Borderline my favorite punch in One Piece. Like, holy shit.
So good.
I can hear and taste and smell and obviously see this
His
panel.
bloody fucking fist in my mouth. I can
Holy shit. Mm-hmm. Like, looking at Crocodile's face getting punched here gives my nose like that kind of like oily smell that happens when you get hit really hard.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It's so good. Oda, I love you. I think about you in the tub. So,
with a bottle of
Luffy gives the reveal that he's using his blood to hit Crocodile, which is fucking rad.
Yeah.
I'm like,
metal.
There's no 2 ways around it. It's cool as shit.
It's also a good way of like, because it's a good like, I guess in a way of a stretch you can metaphor this that Luffy sees this more of like a blood feud now between him and his crew and Crocodile, and like because Vivi has really connected to them at this point.
Yeah.
So
like
he's really invested now that he's going to sacrifice his lifeblood to save this kingdom.
Blood's thicker than water.
Yeah.
Shit happens, bitch.
Shit happens, bitch. And Crocodile also escalates.
Osco.
Yeah, he takes off his weighted gi.
Yeah, he also escalates and brings out the poison hook, and Luffy fighting with his blood, Crocodile fighting with the poison hook. It is...
The stage is set.
Rule of 3, we are signaling this is it. This is that climactic battle.
Yeah.
And they even say this is the end. Let's settle this once and for all. Da-da-doom.
Da-da-doom. They say that.
So we kind of cut back to the others, and the Navy is now going to be cooperating, trying to stop this explosion because they don't want to fucking die. I don't really blame them.
Yeah. It's a big deal. This happens maybe even earlier than I would have expected.
Yeah. Joe's laughing about some shit. I don't know.
Because
maybe you should say what you're
yeah,
laughing
so
about.
like they're cooperating with everybody.
I used to think my life was a tragedy.
Yeah.
But now I see it's a comedy.
Zoro's running around trying to figure out where to go, and like the Navy has to sit there and direct him of where he's supposed to go.
Zoro is literally me.
And it's like it's just a funny bit where like they're all just standing in a line, shouting him different ways, like directions of how to go where he's going.
He's just like, what?
So yeah, kind of the first like third of this chapter is a lot of their efforts to get up to the clock tower. I'm not really gonna play it.
Yeah,
it's really cool. I promise.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool segment. I agree. Like it's it's definitely like I want that more crocodile one-on-one fight, but it's a very good way of, like Willer said, showing what the team can do by themselves.
But holy shit, we get back to the fight.
And it's going.
Man.
The choreography of this fight is stellar.
Dude. Like, it is just hit after hit after hit, and they are all so cool.
This feint where he blocks his punch with his leg and then switches into a turnaround kick.
And, like, we kind of... They start talking after this several pages of traded blows, and...
I like Crocodile's smile here, too.
Oh, yeah.
He's having a little bit of fun.
Crocodile is repeatedly insisting to Luffy, like, it's obviously over. You don't get it. And Luffy's saying you're the one who doesn't get it. And we're going to follow up on this conversation when we get back to it, after we cut away to what's going on with the other Straw Hats. We meet Miss Father's Day and Mr. Seven, whom I love.
We found out today that all his face is made of sevens.
It is kind of great. The only reason I knew about this is because someone in the question corner asked, like, what would he look like if he was Mr. Six? And Oda drew his faces made of sixes instead of sevens.
It's good.
And it was kind of great. So we move on to the next chapter, and I think this is much more heavy on the escalating the tower.
What do you think about the...
This is I would say this is the climax of the tower.
Yeah. What's my thoughts on what?
There's a panel that's like that shows off Mr. Seven and his Father's Day, and right below that it's a panel of two Namis yelling. What do you think about Oda making this mistake about drawing two Namis?
I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
He's saying that all of the girls look the same.
Oh, okay. That was funny, Joe.
Oh yeah, sure.
So again, like we're kind of reaching that deadline on the explosion, right? Like I don't know if we're sub 1 minute, but like we're close to it.
We're getting really tense here.
We're getting really tense.
So this is a bomb, right? Or they?
It's a giant bomb.
Yeah.
That looks like a cannon.
The cannon shoots the bombs out.
And and we're gonna find out later that even if the cannon does not shoot, it's rigged to explode anyway.
Explode.
Yeah.
13 seconds to go, actually. Holy shit. They kind of do this really cool relay race, kind of where they like. Does Nami hit Usopp in the nuts so she jumps up in the air?
No, she uses wind pressure to send him up, but also she is hitting his nuts.
Okay, and then
from there they just keep tossing each other.
Yeah, like Sanji kicks them up, then Zoro hits them, and then Chopper's gonna like throw VV. It
makes a lot of sense because their blows are so strong. So why can't they launch a guy into the air?
Yeah.
And so, as she's ascending, we cut back to Crocodile, and this is like, holy shit, more of some of my favorite dialogue in the story. Throughout the battle, we've seen Crocodile and Luffy like repeatedly say to each other, like, you don't get it. Like, no, you don't get it. And Crocodile, this is what I'm talking about, where Crocodile has moved on from his, like, arrogant, like, you're nothing, to, like, he is genuinely
angry,
confused and angry and frustrated that Luffy doesn't get it. And, like, it's not even an argument. In this moment, he's earnestly trying to explain to Luffy. He's saying, like, do you realize that you're doing this on someone else's behalf? Like, you know you're not doing this for you, right? And because to him, that makes no sense. But Luffy would just be like, yes, I know. That's why I'm doing it. And this, like we said, is like that clash of ideologies that is the crux of One Piece, because these two people have fundamentally different moral codes and ideologies. It does not compute. Like, doing something solely for someone else does not it is not a concept he can understand.
Yeah. It's, power of friendship is a fantastic trope when it's done well.
Yeah.
And like that, Luffy is just all about that, man. She's my friend. I'm gonna do it.
So often, like, the whole, like, oh, I'm gonna defeat you with the power of friendship. So often that's a joke to me, but in One Piece I take it dead seriously.
It's serious. Like, this is what he cares about.
Yeah. And I don't know, just that panel of Crocodile trying his hardest to explain to Luffy why he thinks Luffy is confused and wrong. Like, I'm just gonna say it right now that this arc's 5 out of 5. I'm just giving you the ranking right now.
Wow, surprisingly.
Points for all.
No one is surprised. No one is
The
surprised.
shock of nobody in the audience.
And man, that's just a good fucking conversation. We cut back. We have 7 seconds left to defeat Miss Father's Day and Mr. Seven. And guys, they're so cool.
They're silly.
They shoot
as a frog.
like they shoot their guns and they shoot a dice at a frog and like they collide midair and explode. It's fucking cool. I just love them.
Bradley has a thing for frog girls.
Yeah, I think you're you're on the next volume now with 207.
I am.
So you can.
I kind of hit my stride with the iPad. I'll just keep going. I'm not 80 anymore.
Oh yeah.
De-aged.
De-aged.
No longer 89.
So we are quickly approaching like the simultaneous climax of both of these situations where it's like 4 seconds left on the bomb, and then obviously we're getting ready for like we have far past the point where like we always knew Luffy and Crocodile weren't going to talk this out, but like they tried, and we have passed the point where like they are obviously not going to talk.
And they've been fighting for a little bit. They're starting to get tired.
They are starting to get tired. 6 seconds to explosion. Hey, listen, our bullets collide and explode. They shoot a dice and a frog, and they hit each other, and it blows up. They're so cool. I love them. Like,
you heard it here first, gentlemen.
I love these
and
people.
ladies.
By first opinion.
Chopper launches Vivi. We get to see her use her peacock
string
for the first time in like several volumes, I think.
Yeah.
And you remember, like, oh yeah, this girl was like one of the highest ranking members in this organization.
She was up there.
She was fucking up there. And we get to 1 second left. Crocodile's like,
she gets it.
It's over. And
that's another iconic panel.
It really is. Like, he is so happy that everyone's about to be fucked up. So we kind of get we're gonna kind of get a few flashbacks to a younger Vivi, and I think it both helps to like show where she was and where she is now, and just be like, holy shit, look how far she's come. But also it's relevant because like I think this is how Pell knows where to go, because he's remembering their secret hideout, which is also how Vivi knew. She's like, oh, our secret hideout. She does stop the fuse.
However,
and you're like,
when I was first reading, I was like, oh my, it was such a sweet release.
And then, holy shit.
But it's still ticking.
Tick, tick, tick. And she does alert everyone, like, holy shit, the bomb's on a timer. And Croc even says this to King Cobra, just so everyone's on the same page. And this is another one of those moments where I'm like,
I got deflated here.
I was like, we're actually fucked. Like, there's nothing we can do. But little do we know. So we cut back to Luffy because like we're getting like asymptotically closer to the climax of both of these situations, and Luffy says, you know, as long as she keeps fighting to save her kingdom, then so are we. And like they start fighting again, and like holy shit, this panel where Luffy like slams his hook into the ground with his leg.
I love that one.
So much impact there.
And it breaks the hook.
It breaks the fucking hook.
This is the first thing I've ever really seen of One Piece. I watched like a couple episodes of the dub, then I kind of forgot about it. Then I saw an AMV of this fight, and that's when I started reading the manga.
You're just like, you got to.
I got it.
How could you not?
And I vividly remember that foot slam down.
And so, Pell shows up to the top of the clock tower, and we get a short flashback, and like holy shit. He says, this has been the greatest honor of my life, and you immediately know what he's about to do. He starts carrying the bomb out, and like we were in the airport, and I was kind of trying to hold it together.
Yeah, no joke, dude.
This was really fucking emotional, dude. And that explosion, holy shit. That is a big explosion. I wish I could convey an image with my voice, because
big
boom.
Big boom.
Rest in peace, pal.
Like we have like 2 whole pages that is just showing people reeling from the explosion.
Yeah.
And rip, but also not rip, Pell. But man, like that doesn't change the emotional impact of this for me. I don't think. Because he still did it.
He didn't know he was gonna get Oda'd.
Yeah. So at this point, the mission on this side is complete. They have stopped the bomb. They did it. And
so
yeah.
I think the big thing about the bomb, it's a great symbol of like just showing the country like representing of tearing itself apart essentially. So like they've essentially like at this point after doing that have done everything they can to stop the country from just breaking apart from itself. Because of this force our crocodiles.
I'm gonna disagree with that.
Yeah.
It's the country's still at war until the rain falls. It's not over yet.
Yeah. I think in a sense, I'm gonna kind of go with a combination of your answers where even if this literal physical bomb was not there, the country was still on a timer.
Yeah.
Because everyone is still fighting, and there's going to reach a point where they were going to reach a point very soon, like with this bomb, where there would be no turning back. But they were able to defuse the bomb, and around the same time they defused the bomb, they were able to make the announcement to stop fighting and defuse the more metaphorical bomb.
Your bomb.
And as they...
go ahead, Bradley.
I was going to say, we wrap up the thing with the bomb, and then shortly after we cut back to Luffy.
It's time.
And holy shit, dude. He says, I'm going to defeat you, and then he fucking does it.
He fucking does it. My boy doesn't lie.
Gum Gum Storm. And he punches Crocodile through, like, how many yards?
A lot of bedrock.
How many yards of bedrock?
Like, a lot of bedrock.
Yeah.
That's a great panel.
It just looks cool. I'm sorry.
Gum Gum Storm is my favorite move for a long time.
It looks so cool.
Yeah. So, whenever I first read this chapter, I was really confused about what was happening here.
Yeah.
With him twisting
his body up. It's one of those things that's just like so cartoonily silly, and it's in the middle of this like, who's
it's the final hit.
I know. And you're like, what are you doing?
But of course, he's just being clever, old Luffy.
Yeah, and like it's really even weird to see in the anime get animated. I think where you're
they
just
do this like squishing sound.
Yeah, and you're just like, because like
Luffy, you're a weird bitch.
Because if you think about it, if this was anyone but Oda, what the other person would have done is that he would have just like sprung his legs down and shot up like a coil.
Nah, fuck it.
For like rubber, because you like elastic and whatever.
That's not how that works. One Piece is.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying. That's not how it works. But that's what the way people would have done it. Like if they weren't.
No one would have picked a Rubber Man as their hero anyway.
It's true. They would have been like laser beam.
Fuck them. Yeah, it would have been Boring Fireman.
Would have been Ace.
It would have been Natsu.
Yeah.
Gum Gum Storm.
Gum Gum Storm.
Fairy Tail is just One Piece from the perspective of Ace.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the rest of this chapter is mostly just like awesome visuals and holy shit, Luffy won.
So Luffy defeats Crocodile, both physically and metaphorically.
Yes.
By bringing the underground mob boss,
above
the fake hero.
Ooh.
By bringing him from the underground above.
And forcefully
revealing him to the world.
Oda is Galaxy Brain.
Yeah. And it's very
it's
forceful, it's ungrateful. It also breaks the foundation of like what everyone like thinks that what's going on.
It destroys the city, but it's also like a baptism, a rebirth.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna start anew with this cancer fully rooted out of the town.
And we punctuate all of this god tier stuff with like the end of the movie Holes, where it starts raining for the first time in forever.
All they gotta do is just get Crocodile out. It's convenient timing, but it's such beautiful timing.
And they all know, like, as soon as it started raining, like, they're like, okay,
what are we doing here?
Well, I thought it was just because it's like Crocodile all this time has been able to like, in the background, like control things.
No, Crocodile wasn't actively doing it. It was he drained the water with the boogie powder or the dance powder, whatever they call it.
Yeah. The rain powder, I think.
This is just metaphorical timing.
And in the next chapter, we kind of, obviously the fighting's winding down, and we kind of tie up whatever other ends for the fighting there were, where they're like, okay, well, sure it's raining, sure the princess is here, but what about that other shit that happened? And finally, the kid who was attacked by Brokers members, he comes back, he's able to explain, like, no, Like, that wasn't the king who did all that shit. We're kind of tying up the things we need to get the fighting to stop.
To get to the climax of the arc, which is Happiness Punch.
Oh, God. Don't even. Don't even
joke with me.
So King Cobra is able to carry Luffy to the Straw Hats, and one of my favorite visuals in this arc is all the Straw Hats just falling over.
I really like that panel, man.
Because
they're so tired.
We have been in, like, breakneck action for volumes.
For these 2 volumes at least.
Yeah.
And
ever since the 4 volumes, maybe.
The Ducks.
Ever since the Ducks.
yeah, and, like, our characters are de-escalating at the same rate the story did, where it's like, boom, we get the climax, and they are like,
Fuck,
I need a rest. And boy, do they.
It definitely feels like after you finish a long project or whatever, like you just
you
kind of
crash.
Yeah.
Your
Crash.
adrenaline's
And
gone.
you think that like you actually would have sustained normally taking out as like
finally hits.
yeah, like after finals you get a cold or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
They're collapsed. We get to get one last look at all the defeated Baroque members. Miss Doublefinger. Gonna miss those tits, girl.
God damn it.
Don't worry, there's more to come.
No shame on this fucker.
Well, okay, look at the panel. Oda, you know what Oda's
Oda's
doing
missing
here.
them too, though.
Oda drew it like that on purpose.
What about Miss Merry Christmas? You're not gonna miss her? Anyways.
Fuck that bitch. Full disclosure. Fuck that bitch. Okay.
There is one person interesting though that's still moving in this panel or these set of panels.
Yeah.
Eyelashes?
Bon Clay.
Oh, Bon Clay. Eyelashes the camel.
Bradley is so galaxy brained.
Just literally it's like
Yeah, Bon Clay's there too, but eyelashes though.
Yeah, eyelashes is actually the one piece.
Long live Alabasta.
Yeah.
Long live Alabasta.
Long live Alabasta.
Where's Panda Man here?
Wakanda forever.
In the next chapter, we get to look at the Navy and Black Cage Hina from the mini arc with Django and Full Body. I immediately recognized her because I was like, how could you not remember this babe? And
she is now their boss.
And
we're working together.
And we're getting to see Smoker, and he really did trust Tashigi to do
that's what he was doing.
what he could, what she would.
Let Bradley.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So they captured a Brokework ship because they probably needed to, and we're gonna soon get to the Tashigi shit I wanted to talk about. She did allow the Straw Hats to escape, which at first thought, we and Smoker think that she allowed the Straw Hats to go because she's like appreciative of what they did for the kingdom. And there might be some amount of truth to that, but we're going to learn that there's a much more personal reason to Tashigi why she did not capture them. And we're going to talk about that when we get to it. In the meantime, we get to see the kingdom react to the rain. I'm so glad that Toto is...
What a wholesome lad.
oh God. He has his fuzzy pickle mustache.
Fuzzy pickle.
He's very glad. Him and all the other older men in the country who remember what the kingdom was are very happy that their sons are going to come home.
They can remember rain.
Yeah.
That's a weird thought, right?
Yeah. The Straw Hats are asleep in the palace, and just, I don't know, generally, they're just being Straw Hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They even sleep like goofballs.
They sleep like goofballs. So, from here we do go back to Tashigi, and this is, man, I had a lot to say about this scene. I really love it. So, she let the Straw Hats go. She gave aid to the pirates, and Smoker is saying what we think at this moment, where he's like, you shouldn't feel bad. You were following your sense of justice, and she is like, no, I was not. She thinks back to what Croc said, losers should not boast about enforcing justice. She was not strong enough, and she knows it. And essentially, what Croc's words have done to her is that in the Grand Line, in this world where you have these powerful pirates, Croc's words got to her, and she doesn't believe that she is strong enough to enforce justice on these people. Like, like, I mean, I said it, Croc's words got to her, and she feels inferior, she feels like she's not good enough, and in this talk about justice and not being strong enough, we get this shot where she is down below Smoker, and we see him from the back, and we see on his jacket it says justice, and this visual is kind of implying she is at the bottom. She is not strong enough. He, her superior, the stronger one, with justice on his jacket, he is strong enough. He is that goal she needs to ascend to. In the next panel, she does. She surpasses him. And I think that's telegraphing a future for her. She is going to have to get stronger, and that's part of her character now. She wants and has to get stronger if she's going to enforce this justice. And I think we're reinforcing that with the shots and actions of these panels.
Of her visually climbing up the steps and now walking past him, above him.
Like I already liked Tashigi, but I just like her even more now. That's
She's cool.
Yeah, she's
But then Smoker tells him to fucking shove it.
Smoker.
Smoker is so cool.
Yeah.
There's not a lot I have to say about the rest of this chapter because there's only one page after that. But
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's going to be nearly as much to say these next few chapters as there was before. Because
a lot of them is just kind of like a lot of denouement of wrapping up. And
it's it's Fallout and it's we have to escape from the kingdom.
A lot of great Straw Hat moments.
A lot of goodbyes. There are really funny moments, which I like. I like the funny moments. I don't care enough to talk about them on the podcast unless you guys do.
I'll point some out.
We do see Zoro continuing his training through all of this. He still does not think he's strong enough.
It's getting crazier and crazier.
I am kind of skipping through this chapter because it is a lot. Oh, hold on. There's something in this chapter we have to talk about.
Well, hold up a minute.
The Straw Hats get to eat. They get to kind of mingle with the locals. They get to party.
I love how the locals come around to them. They're like, these guys are fucking slobs, and then by the end of it, they're laughing and cracking up.
We do. The Straw Hats do exactly what we knew they were gonna do, and they go peek at Nami and Vivi, and we hit the peak power spike of One Piece. There's never gonna be.
Oda kind of wrote himself into a corner.
There's never gonna be a more OP attack than this. Nami's happiness punch. She can hit from a distance. It's a weapon she always has with her. It's unblockable, and it instantly KOs these people who have taken on hundreds of men at once.
I can think of a stronger attack. Happens now, and he's lobby at the end.
In any case, Nami confirmed most powerful member of the Straw Hats.
Easily.
And then King Cobra, bleeding on the ground, says, thank you. And then they're like, what the fuck? He's like, no, not for that.
But also, I mean...
also, yeah. And then we get to see Luffy's new bounty, but also Zoro's bounty. 100 million and 60 million.
Double Luffy's initial bounty.
Boy.
Bounty reveals are the hypest shit.
Yeah. So, now they're like, well, shit. The Navy knows we're here. We gotta escape the Sand Kingdom. And, dude, we get to see Django in full body, which... We know that, like, all the mini arcs between chapters...
Are canon.
We know they're canon that they come back. And we've seen some of them come back with, like, Alvida and Buggy. But, I think this is, like, the coolest reincorporation of these characters we've seen so far. Django and Full Body, one, they're the same rank. Two, they're just, like, best friends now.
Yeah.
Well,
which you saw happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also still rivals.
Yeah, and, man, I love it. And I should have known they were going to show up when we saw Hina here. But, I'm so glad they're back. And they are... When they heard they're here to get the Straw Hats, they are like, oh, let's go! I'm about to end this man's whole career. This is another chapter I'm gonna skip a lot through because it's a lot of like the logistics.
There's generally a lot of good stuff,
yeah,
but we're also probably running a little late here.
Yeah, they do meet up with Bon Clay, which I kind of thought that he would play a role like this after how his fight with Sanji ended because
respectfully,
there really was a real and let's be real, Bon Clay, like of all like the top members of Baroque Works, like Bon Clay was just like the coolest. Like,
He's so cool.
I love Bon Clay. Like
So at this point in the story, I really didn't have a strong or like I didn't really have a really strong opinion about Bon Clay. That has since changed for other reasons, but that's just where I was standing on it.
This was a changer for me. His sacrifice for the Straw Hats is really good.
Yeah.
He says some really poetic stuff. He says you can stray from the path of a woman, you can stray from the path of a man, but you cannot stray from the path of mankind.
Oh, dude.
You no matter what you identify yourself as, you are a human.
Goosebumps,
and the human
man.
spirit is too powerful.
Goosebumps, man.
And also that, like, you know, the people that, like, are human and behave humanly will triumph over people that, like Crocodile, who just see the cut and dry of, like, here's what to do, like, the what's one or two people versus a kingdom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, a lot of the next chapter is kind of an it kind of alternates between Vivi having kind of this internal conflict of these are these great friends I've made, they've saved me, I've gone on these adventures, do I want to go with them or do I want to stay in Alabasta? And I never thought for a second she would actually go with them, because we've talked about it on several episodes of this podcast where she was just born to rule Alabasta. Like there's no way she wasn't.
And I really forgot how much it was until going through this. Like, her childhood scenes really cement her as a good leader.
Yeah.
And really cement that, like, her whole, like, motivation is the kingdom itself.
Yeah.
And, like, she knows, like, the kingdom itself is what gives her the motivation to do everything she does. Like, if she didn't really care so much with the kingdom, she would not have joined Straw Hats, done the Baroque Works stuff, wouldn't have done all of that.
Yeah.
So, like, it would be kind of a waste of her character if she ended up joining the Straw Hats, essentially. It would have been, like, it'd be flatlining her arc.
After this, we get some ship combat with Hina's crew, and that caps off with Bon Clay's sacrifice and his speech about not straying from the path of mankind.
What a god!
The Straw Hats weep for him, and so do we.
I like when they're like, we're in danger because we're going to pick up a friend. And Monk is like, it's for a friend.
You gotta do it.
You gotta do it, man.
Vivi does a really cool switcheroo where Oda does a really cool technique where he shows her speaking into a microphone, but he never actually like shows her surroundings, so you could conceivably believe she's actually at this like palace square
Giving a speech to the
giving a speech. Everyone is like, what the fuck, that's not Vivi up there, that's obviously Iguro. And turns out Vivi was on the beach talking to her friends because she promised her friends she would be there. Man, I was getting choked up on the plane because she's still talking to him through the mic, and she's like, if we ever see each other again, will you call me your shitmate? And she is just bawling. And Oda's really good at drawing people crying.
Yeah, he deliberately makes them ugly because people don't cry pretty.
Yeah.
Crying is a powerful emotion.
He is my favorite crying artist.
Yeah, and
Well, there you go.
They're extremely over exaggerated too, in like the terms of the tears and the snot and everything, because like when you don't do that much when you cry, you don't actually cry that much, but when someone watches you cry, and when you feel yourself cry, you feel like those parts of you are like the biggest things on your face at that moment. Like you can feel the snot building up in your nose and dripping down, and the tears really kind of like streaking across
You
your
look
face.
pathetic.
Yeah.
So
We cap off this chapter and arc and conversation with all the Straw Hats saying no matter what happens from here on out, our left arms will bear the sign of our fellowship, which is, word for word what they said when they put them on, and I'm really glad that we hit that again.
that panel of them holding up their arms is one of my favorite One Piece panels.
It is.
It is. Until we get a similar one, like...
Well, Joe, let's just talk about shit Bradley hasn't read.
Yeah, you know what?
Shut up, Joe.
You know what? This wasn't that good.
So, Bradley...
Okay, we're going to talk about chapter 345 now, go.
How did you know?
So Bradley, there is a character that we were...
Oh, there's a character that I don't know that's important, but they're important in chapter 800. Let's talk about them.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
There's
thanks,
many
Joe.
of those.
Yes.
I do want to bring one up.
I don't like when we do that on the podcast.
Okay.
Actually, I don't like that
Fun.
because it's like, hey,
Joe, do you wanna
it's like, hey, by the way, something happened this chapter that's going to be important in 600 chapters, but you don't know what it is. Okay, let's move on.
No, go ahead.
Well, all right. What I do want to say is, Crocodile and Luffy, right?
Right.
To just cap off-
one true pair.
Yeah.
OTP, baby.
Pair made in heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
An interesting thing about Crocodile is, and I talked a little bit about you with it to you. That's still not the sentence, but Crocodile lectures Luffy because he has so much more experience than him.
Yeah.
He thinks he's so much stronger than him.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about this.
He sees himself. He sees strength as absolute. He thinks that the way Luffy's doing it is wrong. But the truth is, Crocodile is kind of washed up because he's the first warlord going down in this series. He's still early in the Grand Line. Mm-hmm. What has he really aspired and accomplished to? What has his willpower taken him to?
Yeah.
If One Piece is a series about people with willpower and resolve to make a change, what does that say about Crocodile? He thinks he's so high and mighty, but this is a huge reality check to where he sees his way as the right way, but in the end he just doesn't have the resolve to come through with it. He settles to just take over a country in the Grand Line. Meanwhile, all his other 7 warlord compatriots are way further in the Grand Line, supposedly dealing with crazier things, because you can tell the story scales linearly.
Yeah, with the Grand Line.
Settling for something like this just shows that he didn't have enough to cut it as one of the real upper echelon of the story. So just thematically, Crocodile's a punk bitch, and I love him. He's one of my favorite characters. He's great.
Crocodile is canon a pussy.
Yeah. But he's my pussy.
He's my
Oh,
pussy.
I remember.
Dry pussy.
I thought of a new. So from the latest chapter,
Sure.
I thought of a new kind of possibility that could happen, which would kind of be dumb, but also kind of a nice throwback to the good old days of One Piece. I'd say good old days, but it just
The nostalgia. One Piece has changed.
right, but
we can talk about it on the freaking
Freaking
Ucast,
There you
which
go.
will be next week.
Freaking
Yeah.
new cast.
where we talked about this month's JoJolion,
Yeah.
which was superb, like top tier, and then also One Piece.
But yeah, big things.
Big things, big thoughts.
Got some really big rings. It's really
Oh
big
well,
things.
we'll discuss the next chapter that's coming out by then too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Um,